What if the past we thought we understood was only the surface of a far deeper, darker mystery? Across the globe, hidden beneath layers of earth, sand, and time, lie relics that defy explanation, artifacts and structures that challenge everything we know about history, science, and human ingenuity. Some are carved with precision that seems impossible for their era. Others vanish into myth, only to resurface centuries later, leaving questions that haunt archaeologists to this day. Who built them? Why? And what secrets were they meant to conceal? Tonight, we'll journey to the edge of the known world, uncovering 23 breathtakingly mysterious archaeological discoveries that have stunned experts and captivated imaginations alike. Prepare to see history not as it was written, but as it was hidden. Let's step into the shadows of the past. High in the rolling hills of the Andean highlands, not far from the bustling city of Huánuco in Peru, lies a site that seems, at first glance, almost ordinary. The terrain is rugged, dotted with low shrubs and rocky outcrops, the air thin and crisp, carrying a faint scent of earth and stone. But perched on a gentle slope of this remote landscape is an object that has long captivated archaeologists, historians, and curious travelers alike. The Sayhuite stone. Carved from a single piece of granite, its surface is etched with an intricate network of channels, pools, and terraces, so precise and deliberate that it almost seems alive, as if it could channel water at a thought. At first glance, it resembles nothing more than an elaborate topographical model, but the deeper one examines it, the more questions emerge. Scholars agree on its age, situating the stone within the broader context of the Inca civilization, a culture renowned for its architectural mastery and engineering ingenuity. The Incas were unparalleled in their ability to manipulate stone, constructing vast cities like Machu Picchu with a precision that still baffles modern engineers. The Sayhuite stone, however, is different. It is not a fortress, a temple, or even a tomb. It is a solitary artifact whose purpose remains shrouded in mystery. Its channels, some so narrow they could barely carry a trickle of water, wind, and spiral across the stone in ways that suggest meticulous planning. Some depressions are large enough to hold water, while others are tiny basins, like miniature reservoirs. Could it have been a hydraulic model, a teaching tool for engineers learning to manage irrigation in the Andean mountains? Or was it something else entirely? Mainstream archaeologists tend to favor practical explanations. Peru's highlands are arid, and water management was critical to survival. Terraces, canals, and aqueducts are ubiquitous throughout Inca sites, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of hydrodynamics. From this perspective, the Sayhuite stone may have functioned as a scale model, allowing engineers to plan the flow of water before modifying the actual landscape. Some experiments conducted with water poured into the channels show that it indeed runs smoothly from basin to basin, supporting this theory. Yet, even these practical experiments cannot fully account for certain peculiarities. Why carve such a complex model in granite, a material notoriously difficult to shape without advanced tools? Why choose a remote hilltop location rather than a more central site near fields or settlements? And why does the stone contain patterns that, at times, seem almost symbolic rather than purely functional, echoing shapes found in other, more ceremonial Inca constructions? These questions have led some researchers to explore more speculative ideas. Could the stone have been part of a ritual, a sacred tool to demonstrate control over water, an element of the Incas' profound spiritual connection to nature? The Incas worshipped natural elements, mountains, rivers, the sun itself, as living entities imbued with power. Perhaps the Sayhuite stone was a bridge between the practical and the spiritual, a device that was as much ceremonial as it was educational. Others have even suggested that the precision of its channels hints at knowledge that seems far beyond what we assume of the era, invoking theories of lost technology or knowledge now vanished from human memory. The stone also provokes questions about scale and proportion. Its depressions do not always correspond directly to the dimensions of nearby rivers or terraces, suggesting it was never meant to be a literal map. Could it have been a symbolic representation of a much larger landscape, a microcosm of the Andean world distilled into stone? Or was it, in some sense, a form of experimentation, a way for Inca engineers to visualize hydraulic systems without altering the environment prematurely? Despite decades of study, the Sayhuite stone continues to defy easy explanation. Modern scientists can measure its channels, map its layout, and test hypotheses with water, yet the deeper meaning seems to remain just out of reach. Each theory, practical, spiritual, or speculative, reveals only part of the story, leaving as much mystery as certainty. Standing before the stone today, one can feel the weight of centuries pressing down, the hands of unknown artisans tracing patterns that may never reveal their full purpose. It invites us to ask questions not only about the people who made it, but about our own assumptions regarding the boundaries of ancient knowledge. What did they know that we do not? What ideas, carefully etched into stone, have been lost to time? And perhaps most compelling of all, what other secrets remain hidden, waiting quietly on a windswept hill in the Peruvian highlands, ready to challenge everything we think we know about the past? As we leave the windswept hills of the Peruvian highlands, where the Sayhuite stone still guards its silent mysteries, we journey now to another landscape equally steeped in ancient enigmas. The island of Sardinia, perched like a forgotten jewel in the heart of the Mediterranean, is a land of rugged coastlines, rolling plains, and jagged mountains. Amidst this dramatic terrain, scattered across the countryside, rise monuments that have puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. The so-called giants' tombs, or tombe dei giganti. From a distance, they resemble long stone ridges, looming and austere, yet as one approaches, the scale and precision of their construction become unmistakable. These megalithic structures, some stretching over 30 meters in length, are built from massive slabs of local stone, meticulously arranged to create corridors, chambers, and towering semicircular exteriors. Dating back to the Bronze Age, around 1800 to 1600 BCE, the giants' tombs are linked to the Nuragic civilization, an ancient culture unique to Sardinia. The Nuragic people left behind thousands of stone towers, known as nuraghi, dotting the landscape, as well as these elongated burial structures that earned their dramatic name from local legend. Folklore suggests that the tombs were the final resting places of giants, creatures of extraordinary size and strength, whose memory lingered long after their bones had turned to dust. Yet the name, as poetic as it is, raises immediate questions. Were the Nuragic people truly commemorating extraordinary individuals, or does the scale of these tombs serve another purpose, one not fully understood by modern scholarship? Archaeologists have long studied the giants' tombs with a combination of reverence and curiosity. Excavations reveal that the tombs functioned as collective burial sites, where multiple individuals were interred over generations. The largest stones, sometimes weighing several tons, were positioned with a care that seems almost ritualistic. In the central chambers, carved slabs occasionally depict stylized human faces or symbolic motifs whose meanings have been lost to time. Some researchers suggest that these carvings represent ancestral spirits, or perhaps deities associated with death and the afterlife. The tomb's alignment is also notable. Many are oriented along east-west axes, hinting at a deliberate connection to the rising and setting sun. Could these structures have been not merely tombs, but also instruments of celestial observation, or symbolic markers linking the living and the dead to the cosmos? Yet the giants' tombs provoke more than archaeological curiosity. Their immense scale has prompted questions that verge on the extraordinary. Some of the slabs, transported over difficult terrain without the aid of modern machinery, suggest the Nuragic people possessed techniques of moving and positioning stone that we are only beginning to understand. How were such massive stones lifted and aligned with such precision? Was it purely a matter of labor and ingenuity? Or could there have been methods lost to history, techniques that might now seem impossible? Beyond their construction, the tombs invite speculation about the people themselves. Stories of giants persisted in Sardinian oral tradition long after the Nuragic civilization faded into the mists of history. Could these tales reflect memories of unusually tall or powerful individuals, or do they symbolize something more abstract, a cultural embodiment of strength, endurance, or ancestral reverence? The mysteries deepen when considering the tombs' locations. They are often sited in commanding positions on hillsides or ridges, overlooking valleys or plains. This placement may have been strategic, ceremonial, or symbolic. Were the tombs meant to watch over the land, or to project a statement of power and continuity to those who lived nearby? Some researchers have explored more speculative ideas. Could the scale and orientation of these tombs indicate knowledge of engineering and astronomy that rivaled civilizations we consider more advanced? Were the Nuragic people experimenting with acoustics, energy, or other forces we have yet to understand? While there is no concrete evidence to confirm such theories, the very fact that these questions arise speaks to the profound impact the giants' tombs have on the imagination. Unlike more familiar burial sites, their presence is both imposing and enigmatic, evoking awe as much as curiosity. Visiting a giant's tomb today is a humbling experience. Standing within the long stone corridors, the weight of countless generations presses quietly around you. Sunlight filters through narrow openings, illuminating carved faces and angular slabs with a subtle, almost sacred glow. The air is still, but the sense of presence is palpable, as if the stones themselves remember the hands that shaped them and the lives they once sheltered. Here, history is not written in words or inscriptions, but in the deliberate act of creation, in the scale, alignment, and enduring strength of the structures themselves. And so, the giants' tombs remain a riddle, one that bridges the line between history, legend, and imagination. What drove the Nuragic people to construct such monumental spaces? Did they seek to honor the dead, to reach the divine, or simply to leave a lasting mark on the land they called home? Perhaps the answers lie buried beneath the stones, or perhaps they reside in the questions themselves, challenging us to reconsider the limits of ancient ingenuity. As the Mediterranean wind sweeps across the hills of Sardinia, the tombs stand in silent testimony, inviting us to wonder what stories remain hidden within their colossal stones, waiting for those patient enough to listen. From the sun-drenched hills of Sardinia, where ancient stones whisper of giants long gone, our journey takes us across the Atlantic, to the heart of Mesoamerica, where a small yet perplexing artifact has quietly defied conventional understanding for decades. Buried beneath layers of soil and history, in the region surrounding what is now Calixtlahuaca, Mexico, lies an object so inconspicuous that, at first glance, it could be easily overlooked. Yet this diminutive sculpture, barely larger than a fist, has sparked debate, curiosity, and even controversy among archaeologists and historians alike. The Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head. The artifact is a finely sculpted terracotta head, with features strikingly different from the indigenous Mesoamerican styles familiar to scholars. Its face bears distinctly European characteristics: a pronounced nose, deep-set eyes, and a rounded chin, all rendered with delicate precision. It was discovered in 1933 during an excavation at a pre-Columbian site, embedded within layers of a tomb dating to roughly 1476 CE. well before any documented transatlantic contact. To hold it in one's hand is to feel a peculiar intimacy, the smoothness of the terracotta, the minute detail in its coiffure, and the unmistakable humanity it conveys. It is, in essence, a miniature portrait frozen in time, yet it carries a mystery that refuses to fade. Mainstream archaeologists have approached the Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head with cautious pragmatism. Radiocarbon dating and stratigraphic analysis confirm that the layer in which it was found corresponds to the late post-classic period of Mesoamerican history. The context of its discovery seems clear. It was buried alongside native ceramics, figurines, and offerings typical of the time. Yet, its distinctly European features clash with our understanding of indigenous artistry. How could such a sculpture exist in a region that, as far as historical records indicate, had no contact with Europeans prior to the arrival of the Spanish in the early 16th century? Several conventional explanations have been proposed. Some scholars suggest it may be an artistic anomaly, a native sculptor experimenting with foreign styles, perhaps inspired by oral accounts or distant trade networks. Others propose the possibility of contamination, that the head might have been introduced into the tomb after its original sealing, either by accident or through later excavation practices. While these explanations are methodically considered, they do not fully account for the artifact's context or the care with which it was placed alongside native objects, suggesting that its presence was deliberate, intentional, and meaningful. It is here, in the tension between what is verified and what is inexplicable, that the true fascination of the Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head emerges. Some researchers have ventured into more speculative territory. Could it represent evidence of early transoceanic contact predating Columbus? Could there have been travelers, castaways, or merchants who reached the shores of Mesoamerica centuries before we believed such journeys possible? While there is no definitive proof, the head continues to challenge assumptions about the limits of pre-Columbian exploration. Equally compelling is the human element embedded in the artifact itself. Unlike grand monuments or architectural marvels, this head was created on a scale that invites personal reflection. One can imagine the hands that molded it, the careful attention given to the expression, the choice to depict features unfamiliar to the local culture. Was it a tribute to a foreign individual, an imagined figure, or a symbolic representation of an idea or deity beyond our current understanding? The artifact seems to straddle the line between the familiar and the foreign, the ordinary and the extraordinary. Even the scientific analysis adds layers to the mystery. Microscopic studies of the clay and firing techniques suggest methods consistent with Mesoamerican traditions, yet the aesthetic outcome is undeniably European in character. This paradox deepens the enigma. How could a native craftsperson, using indigenous techniques, produce a form that appears so stylistically disconnected from their own artistic lineage? And if the sculpture truly reflects external influence, what does that imply about the movement of ideas, people, or objects across vast distances in a time when such journeys were presumed impossible? The artifact's story is also inseparable from the broader tapestry of Mesoamerican civilization. The tomb in which it was found belonged to a society with sophisticated political structures, complex religious practices, and extensive trade networks. These people were no strangers to innovation or cultural synthesis, yet the presence of the Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head hints at a chapter in their history that remains unwritten, a fleeting intersection of worlds that has left behind only this small, silent witness. Holding the head in mind, one cannot help but reflect on the nature of human curiosity itself. It is a reminder that history is rarely a linear narrative, neatly constrained by dates and documented events. Sometimes, it is a puzzle with missing pieces, fragments that refuse to be explained fully, and artifacts that ask more questions than they answer. The Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head embodies this very tension, standing at the crossroads of fact and speculation, inviting us to consider what might have been possible when our assumptions about the past are challenged. As the sun sets over the valley of Calixtlahuaca, casting long shadows across the ancient ruins, the terracotta head seems to gaze out from its centuries-long slumber. What stories did it witness? Whose hand shaped it, and with what intention? Was it a solitary anomaly, or a hint of connections lost to time? These questions linger in the still air, unanswered, inviting us to wonder not only about the artifact itself, but about the broader mysteries of human history. How worlds separated by oceans and centuries might have brushed against one another in ways we are only beginning to imagine. The Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head remains a quiet sentinel of the past, modest in size yet vast in implication. It challenges us to look closer, to question what we assume about the boundaries of human contact and creativity, and to accept that, sometimes, the most profound truths are the ones that continue to elude us. Its mystery endures, patiently waiting for those willing to seek it. And in its silence, it asks perhaps the most enduring question of all. What other secrets of our world remain hidden, waiting just beneath the surface, ready to rewrite the story of history itself? From the heart of Mesoamerica, where the small yet perplexing Tecaxic-Calixtlahuaca Head challenges our understanding of ancient contact, we now turn to the arid plains of southern Peru, to a region etched into history and mystery alike, the Nazca Desert. Stretching across hundreds of miles, this vast sun-scorched landscape is world-famous for its enigmatic geoglyphs, the Nazca lines, visible only from the sky, depicting animals, geometric patterns, and abstract shapes that have puzzled scholars for nearly a century. But hidden within this landscape, beneath layers of sand and stone, lie discoveries that some claim push the boundaries of what we thought possible in the ancient world, the so-called alien mummies of Nazca. These mummies are unlike anything typically found in pre-Columbian archaeology. Unlike the naturalistic human remains commonly associated with the Nazca culture, these specimens appear, at first glance, distinctly otherworldly. Their elongated skulls, disproportionately large eyes, and unusually slender three-fingered hands suggest forms that diverge sharply from the indigenous human populations of the region. Preserved in mummified form, some measure barely over 3 feet in height, with features that seem deliberately exaggerated or sculpted. The first reports emerged in the early 21st century when these mummies were presented to researchers and enthusiasts, sparking immediate debate, fascination, and controversy. Mainstream archaeologists approach these findings with caution, emphasizing the need for rigorous scientific analysis. Preliminary studies indicate that the mummies contain organic tissue consistent with human biology, yet their morphology defies conventional classification. Skeptics point to possible modifications after death, cranioplasty, bone reshaping, or artistic reconstruction as explanations for the anomalies. Others suggest hoaxes or misidentifications could be at play, especially given the sensational attention these mummies have received in media circles. However, the sheer number of anomalies across multiple specimens, combined with careful contextual documentation, makes the case difficult to dismiss outright. What makes these mummies particularly intriguing is their alleged proximity to Nazca cultural artifacts. Some were reportedly found near burial sites and ceremonial structures, suggesting a deliberate, if mysterious, placement within the ancient ritual landscape. Could these beings, if indeed they represent a separate species or an unknown variant of humanity, have been incorporated into local belief systems? Were they revered, feared, or even worshipped as intermediaries between the natural and the supernatural? The Nazca culture was deeply spiritual, their lives interwoven with celestial observation, ritual practice, and reverence for forces beyond human comprehension. It is within this context that the mummy's strangeness becomes even more compelling. Some researchers have ventured into more speculative territory. Could these mummies represent evidence of a previously unknown hominid species? Or, as some theories suggest, might they be relics of encounters with entities beyond our conventional understanding, beings whose origins lie outside Earth itself? While such ideas remain highly controversial, the questions they raise are difficult to ignore. What evidence exists for contact with beings who are not entirely human, and how might ancient civilizations have interpreted such encounters within their cosmology? Even if these theories remain speculative, the very possibility expands our conception of the ancient world, forcing us to confront the limits of what we know and what we assume. Scientific analysis has revealed further layers of mystery. DNA testing on small tissue samples has reportedly produced inconclusive or puzzling results, showing human-like markers alongside anomalies that challenge current genetic understanding. Radiocarbon dating places the mummies within a time frame roughly consistent with the height of Nazca culture, approximately 200 BCE to 600 CE. This temporal alignment raises profound questions. If the mummies are indeed contemporaneous with the Nazca civilization, what role did they play in society? And how did local populations perceive them? Were they experimental burials, ritualistic creations, or perhaps symbolic representations of mythological beings brought to life in flesh and bone? Equally compelling are the physical characteristics of the mummies themselves. Their lightweight bones, unusually structured joints, and elongated crania suggest physiological traits that would have fundamentally altered their interaction with the environment. How could such beings survive in the harsh desert conditions, subsisting alongside humans, if they were indeed biologically distinct? Did their survival require specific knowledge, adaptations, or even intervention from human caretakers? These questions, unanswerable with current evidence, deepen the sense of intrigue and invite a broader contemplation of the Nazca world and its mysteries. Standing before these mummies, whether physically or through detailed imagery, one is struck by their quiet, eerie presence. They evoke a mixture of fascination and unease, as if the desert itself had preserved a secret deliberately, allowing only glimpses of it to seep through the sands of time. The Nazca Desert, with its vast emptiness and ancient lines etched into stone, seems almost to hold its breath around these enigmatic figures, reminding us that the past is rarely fully known, and that sometimes the most profound truths emerge in the shadows of what we cannot explain. The alien mummies of Nazca compel us to ask questions not only about their origins, but about the nature of human understanding itself. How do we define humanity when confronted with forms that challenge our expectations? How much of history remains hidden, waiting to be uncovered in deserts, tombs, and forgotten corners of the world? And perhaps most provocatively, if ancient civilizations encountered beings unlike themselves, how did those encounters shape their myths, rituals, and understanding of life and the cosmos? As the sun sets over the Nazca plains, casting long, sharp shadows across the desert, the mummies lie in quiet testimony to mysteries that defy simple explanation. They invite us to look closer, to question what we think we know about the past, and to remain open to the possibility that some stories, some secrets, may never be fully told. In the stillness of the desert, amidst the silent sweep of wind and sand, the question endures. What other enigmas of our world lie hidden, waiting patiently for those willing to uncover them? And what might they reveal about the boundaries of human knowledge and imagination? From the sun-scorched plains of Nazca, where elongated mummies challenge our understanding of the ancient world, we turn now to the dense, verdant jungles of Central America, where another civilization left behind a legacy of knowledge, precision, and enigmatic beauty: the Maya. Nestled among the ruins of once thriving cities, Palenque, Copan, and Chichen Itza, lie fragments of an intellectual tradition that rivals any in the ancient world. Among the most extraordinary remnants of this tradition are the Mayan astronomical codices, delicate folded manuscripts, painted with meticulous detail, whose survival is almost miraculous given the centuries of exposure to tropical heat, humidity, and the ravages of conquest. These codices are thin, accordion-like books made from bark paper coated with lime, each page a tapestry of symbols, glyphs, and intricate diagrams. Their colors, reds, blacks, and greens, remain surprisingly vibrant despite the passage of time. At first glance, they appear to be mere records, perhaps chronicles of events or ceremonial guides. Yet closer inspection reveals their true significance. These are sophisticated astronomical texts, encoding cycles of the moon, sun, Venus, and other celestial bodies, intertwined with calendars, rituals, and divinatory calculations. The Maya, it seems, were not only observers of the heavens, they were precise mathematicians, capable of tracking celestial movements with astonishing accuracy. Scholars estimate that only 4 codices survive to this day: the Dresden, Madrid, Paris, and Grolier codices. Each carries its own story, having been preserved under extraordinary circumstances, often smuggled out of the region during the Spanish conquest or hidden away in private collections. The Dresden Codex, in particular, has captivated researchers for centuries. Its pages meticulously track Venus's appearances and eclipses, recording cycles that align with modern astronomical observations. The level of precision is staggering. Without telescopes or modern instruments, the Maya calculated the solar year to within minutes of the true value. How did they achieve such accuracy? What methods, lost to time, allowed them to translate the rhythms of the cosmos into glyphs on bark paper? The codices are also enigmatic in their content and structure. Many pages present complex tables, dense with symbols that appear to serve multiple purposes simultaneously. Practical calculations, ritual guidance, and perhaps even predictive insights. The Venus tables, for instance, link astronomical events to warfare and religious ceremonies, suggesting that celestial observation was deeply intertwined with societal governance. These texts indicate a worldview in which the heavens were not distant or abstract, but profoundly connected to human life, shaping decisions, timing, and belief. What compelled the Maya to devote such painstaking effort to recording these patterns? Was it purely practical, spiritual, or a fusion of both? Some researchers have speculated that the codices may conceal knowledge that extends beyond our current understanding. Could the Maya have observed celestial phenomena that predated Western scientific recognition? Were there patterns in the night sky they discerned, or cycles they tracked, that have been lost with the destruction of countless other manuscripts? The Spanish conquest alone is thought to have obliterated tens of thousands of Maya books, meaning the surviving codices are fragments of a far greater, almost unimaginable body of knowledge. Each page that remains carries the weight of what was lost, a silent testimony to insights we may never fully reconstruct. The glyphs themselves add another layer of mystery. Highly stylized and symbolic, they require extensive interpretation to understand. Even today, some glyphs defy precise translation, leaving scholars to make educated conjectures about their meaning. Could these undeciphered symbols encode knowledge we have yet to rediscover? Insights into mathematics, astronomy, or philosophy that remain inaccessible? Some have even suggested, cautiously, that the codices hint at astronomical phenomena such as supernovae or planetary alignments observed by the Maya, recorded with a sophistication that rivals modern techniques. While these interpretations remain debated, the possibility underscores the depth and ambition of Maya scholarship. The codices' existence also raises questions about the people who created them. They were not merely scribes, but scholars, astronomers, and priests, trained to interpret and predict the movements of the heavens. Their work required patience, precision, and a conceptual understanding of time and space, far beyond what might be expected for a civilization without mechanical instruments. How was such knowledge transmitted? How did they ensure its accuracy over generations? And most intriguingly, what drove them to encode so much of it in a form that, in many cases, would survive only fragilely in the humid jungle, vulnerable to fire, rot, or conquest? Standing before the surviving codices, even through photographs or reproductions, one feels the presence of those long-departed observers. Each symbol is a voice from the past, a whisper of inquiry, curiosity, and awe. The texts challenge us to think not only about what the Maya saw in the skies, but how they interpreted their place in the universe. They remind us that history is not merely a series of events, but a vast web of knowledge, observation, and imagination, carefully preserved in forms we are only beginning to comprehend. The Mayan astronomical codices, in their fragile elegance, endure as a testament to human curiosity and intellect. They invite us to consider the boundaries of knowledge in the ancient world, to marvel at what was achieved without the tools we take for granted, and to wonder at the mysteries that remain. How much more might have been known to the Maya than what we now possess? What wisdom, now lost, shaped their understanding of time, the heavens, and the delicate balance between human action and cosmic rhythm? As the dense jungles of Mesoamerica stretch into the horizon, the codices seem to call to us across centuries, urging careful observation, thoughtful inquiry, and an acknowledgement that, in the ancient world, knowledge was as profound as it was ephemeral. They remind us that some mysteries are preserved not in monuments of stone or metal, but in delicate pages, folded, painted, and hidden from view, waiting patiently for those willing to study them and to ask the questions their creators once did. What secrets lie encoded in the heavens, and how much of the universe did the Maya truly understand? From the dense jungles of Mesoamerica, where the Mayan astronomical codices record the cosmos with astonishing precision, our journey now spans continents and centuries, arriving in the heart of the ancient Hellenistic world. We travel to a time when one man's ambition reshaped the known world, leaving a legacy that would echo through history: Alexander the Great. Yet, for all his conquest and influence, one of history's most enduring mysteries surrounds not the lands he claimed, but the resting place of the man himself. The tomb of Alexander the Great, the final chapter of a life that seemed destined for immortality, remains lost, hidden, and the subject of centuries of speculation. Accounts from antiquity describe the tomb as a monument of extraordinary grandeur. After Alexander's death in Babylon in 323 BCE, his body was reportedly embalmed and placed in a gold sarcophagus, which was then housed in a structure befitting a king whose empire stretched from Greece to India. Some sources suggest it was originally in Memphis, Egypt, before being transferred to Alexandria, the city he founded and envisioned as a lasting symbol of his reign. Yet, despite references by historians such as Plutarch, Diodorus Siculus, and Strabo, no definitive archaeological evidence has been found to pinpoint its location. Scholars and treasure hunters have sought it for centuries, from the streets of Alexandria to distant deserts, but the tomb has eluded discovery, as if deliberately concealed by time itself. The historical accounts are tantalizing yet frustratingly contradictory. Some describe a magnificent mausoleum, open to public veneration, visited by Ptolemaic rulers and foreign dignitaries alike. Coins and reliefs from later centuries suggest a cult of remembrance, an enduring reverence for the body of the conqueror. Others hint at looting, destruction, or clandestine relocation, perhaps to protect the remains from political upheaval or rival powers. Even the structure of the tomb is uncertain. Was it a lavish pyramid, a classical temple, or a monumental mausoleum adorned with statues and inscriptions. The texts evoke grandeur but offer few concrete details, leaving modern researchers to navigate the thin line between history and legend. Some mainstream hypotheses place the tomb within Alexandria, near the ancient royal quarter, based on historical references to processions and public ceremonies. Archaeological excavations, however, have been inconclusive. Urban development, centuries of flooding, and the shifting sands of the Nile Delta have likely obscured or destroyed much of the ancient city. Despite modern technology, including ground-penetrating radar and remote sensing, the elusive tomb has yet to emerge from its silence. Could it be that the tomb lies beneath layers of city streets, hidden for millennia, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? Or was it destroyed deliberately, lost to history as empires rose and fell? Speculation naturally extends beyond the mainstream narrative. Some researchers suggest the body may never have rested in a tomb at all, its remains dispersed, secreted away to protect against desecration. Others point to cryptic references in ancient texts that imply the tomb contained treasures, relics, or artifacts of such importance that its location was deliberately concealed. Could Alexander himself have designed measures to hide his resting place, a final act of strategy for a man who had mastered kingdoms but could not master time? If so, what secrets might lie within, and what would they tell us about the man behind the myth? The mystery is compounded by reports of later visitors to Alexandria claiming to have glimpsed or entered the tomb. Roman emperors, including Julius Caesar and Augustus, are said to have paid homage at Alexander's resting place. Yet these accounts, written centuries after the fact, are impossible to verify and may reflect reverence rather than empirical observation. Similarly, travelers in the medieval period described lavish tombs and golden sarcophagi, perpetuating the allure while further muddying the historical record. With every century, the story of Alexander's tomb seems to drift further from certainty, blending documented history with rumor, hearsay, and the imagination. The significance of the tomb extends beyond mere curiosity. Alexander the Great was not only a conqueror but also a symbol of human ambition and vision, his life bridging cultures, philosophies, and continents. To discover his tomb would be to uncover a physical link to that extraordinary epic, an artifact capable of deepening our understanding of Hellenistic culture, funerary practices, and the man himself. Yet perhaps part of the tomb's enduring power lies precisely in its absence. The mystery compels us to confront history as an unfinished narrative, reminding us that even the most famous figures may leave legacies hidden in the shadows. To stand in modern Alexandria today, amid the bustling streets and fragments of ancient ruins, is to feel the weight of centuries pressing quietly through the layers of stone and sand. One can almost imagine the processions, the grandeur of a king honored, the reverence of generations who walked where Alexander once dreamed. And yet, the final resting place remains unseen, a puzzle that history has not yet solved. How much of what we believe about the ancient world depends on the fragments that survive, and what truths, perhaps, remain buried beneath the city, awaiting the patient eyes and careful hands of those willing to search. The tomb of Alexander the Great endures as a riddle, a silent monument to ambition, mortality, and the passage of time. It challenges us to consider the limits of human knowledge, the impermanence of even the grandest achievements, and the mysteries that endure because they were never meant to be fully revealed. In its absence, it teaches as much as any monument of stone that history is not only what we discover, but also what eludes us, compelling us to wonder, imagine, and search for the shadows of the past that still whisper across the sands of time. From the sunlit streets of Alexandria, where the tomb of Alexander the Great continues to elude discovery, we turn now to the rolling hills of southeastern Europe, where a different kind of enigma rises silently from the earth. Just outside the city of Visoko, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, a series of hills, remarkably geometric in appearance, have sparked a debate that stretches from mainstream archaeology to the fringes of historical speculation. These formations, known as the Bosnian pyramids, challenge our perception of what is natural and what might be the product of ancient human ingenuity. The largest of these hills, Vysochica Hill, has straight edges, a near-perfect triangular shape, and a summit that rises sharply above the surrounding landscape, giving the impression of a pyramid seen from afar. On the ground, pathways and terraces cut into the stone seem to hint at deliberate construction. When viewed under aerial photography or satellite imaging, the geometric regularity becomes even more striking. Lines and angles that suggest careful planning, aligning with cardinal points and with other hills nearby. To the untrained eye, it might appear as a remarkable coincidence of nature. Yet, for some researchers and local enthusiasts, the evidence suggests something far more profound: the remnants of an advanced prehistoric civilization, possibly predating known cultures in Europe by millennia. The mainstream archaeological perspective, however, remains cautious. Most geologists and historians assert that the hills are natural formations, created by geological processes such as tectonic uplift, erosion, and sedimentation. Terraces, stone blocks, and angular lines may result from human activity long after the hills formed naturally, including agricultural terraces or medieval fortifications. Critics point to the absence of unequivocal artifacts or inscriptions to support the notion of deliberately constructed pyramids, emphasizing that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Yet the controversy persists, fueled by detailed surveys, excavations, and research conducted since the early 2000s by the Bosnian researcher Semir Osmanagić. Proponents of the pyramid theory point to tunnels beneath the hills, composed of stone blocks fitted with astonishing precision, and to mineralogical analyses suggesting unusual energy patterns. Some tunnels appear to extend deep into the hill, forming networks reminiscent of subterranean passageways found beneath pyramids elsewhere in the world. Could these features be the remnants of an ancient, sophisticated culture, deliberately hidden beneath layers of soil and time? Or are they the result of natural formations, later adapted and shaped by human hands? The implications of either possibility are staggering. If the Bosnian hills are indeed artificial, they would represent a monumental achievement of prehistoric engineering, raising profound questions about the capabilities and reach of ancient peoples. How could such structures have been built without metal tools or written records? What purpose did they serve? Ceremonial, astronomical, or symbolic? And if they are natural, shaped only by the slow forces of geology, why do they evoke such an intuitive sense of design, compelling observers to search for patterns that may or may not exist? Adding to the intrigue are reports of artifacts, ceramic fragments, and unusual stones found in and around the hills. Some researchers claim these objects indicate human activity dating back thousands of years. Others note anomalies in the tunnels, strange acoustic properties, low radiation readings, and mineral deposits that seem to have been deliberately placed. While none of these findings provide definitive proof of artificial construction, they create an aura of mystery, inviting further exploration and careful scientific scrutiny. The debate extends beyond the scientific community into popular imagination. Some enthusiasts suggest connections between the Bosnian pyramids and other ancient megalithic structures worldwide, proposing that a lost civilization may have left behind a hidden network of monumental architecture spanning continents. Skeptics, meanwhile, warn against drawing conclusions too quickly, emphasizing the risk of interpreting natural phenomena through the lens of wishful thinking or cultural fascination. Yet the tension between certainty and speculation is precisely what gives the Bosnian pyramids their enduring allure. To visit the site today is to step into a place that seems suspended between time and possibility. The hills rise above a patchwork of green fields and sleepy villages, their sharp outlines striking against the sky. Beneath them, tunnels snake into darkness, echoing faintly with the whispers of explorers, scientists, and curious travelers. Standing on the summit of Vysochika Hill, one can imagine ancient hands shaping the stone, or perhaps centuries of wind and water sculpting it into improbable perfection. The silence of the landscape is both humbling and provocative, leaving room for imagination while inviting careful observation. The Bosnian pyramids controversy reminds us that the boundary between natural wonder and human achievement is not always clear. Nature can astonish with patterns that evoke order and intention, just as humans can shape the earth in ways that endure for millennia. The hills of Visoko, whether miraculous formations or the work of a forgotten civilization, compel us to ask questions about the origins of knowledge, the capacity for ancient ingenuity, and the stories that remain hidden beneath the surface of the world. As the wind sweeps across the terraced slopes, stirring dust and leaves, one cannot help but wonder, what truths lie concealed in the Bosnian hills? Are these pyramids the product of an ancient culture whose memory has vanished, or are they a testament to the uncanny artistry of nature itself? And beyond these questions lies a broader contemplation. How many mysteries lie just beneath our feet, waiting for patient eyes and inquisitive minds to reveal them, quietly challenging our assumptions about the past and the possibilities of human or even natural creation? From the rolling hills of Bosnia, where the debate over ancient pyramids continues to captivate and confound, our journey takes us now to the vast, sun-scorched deserts of the Middle East. Across the arid plains of Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and parts of Central Asia, the sands stretch endlessly, revealing a landscape that is both harsh and hauntingly beautiful. Yet when viewed from above, these seemingly empty expanses yield a pattern so precise, so deliberate, that it transforms the desert into an enigmatic canvas of human ingenuity: the desert kites. The desert kites are enormous stone constructions extending for hundreds, sometimes thousands of meters. From the air, their shapes resemble kites, triangular funnels that converge into long, narrow corridors ending in enclosures. Their scale is astonishing. Walls composed of low stone ridges stretch over vast distances, meticulously arranged across dunes, rocky outcrops, and dry valleys. On the ground, the structures can be difficult to discern, their lines subtle against the desert floor. Yet from above, the patterns reveal a clear design, suggesting planning and coordination on a scale that seems almost inconceivable for prehistoric societies. Archaeologists date the desert kites to the Neolithic and Bronze Age periods, roughly between 4000 and 2000 BCE. They appear to be among the earliest large-scale human modifications of the landscape, predating complex urban settlements in the region. Early surveys and excavations indicate that the kites were likely used as hunting traps, designed to herd herds of gazelle, ibex, or other wild animals into confined enclosures, where they could be efficiently slaughtered. The logic is simple yet sophisticated. The wide funnels guide the animals toward a narrow exit where hunters could wait, and the entire system could have supported a sizable community through seasonal hunting. Yet, despite this practical explanation, the desert kites present as many questions as they answer. The sheer scale of some kites raises doubts about whether they could have been constructed and maintained solely for hunting. Some of the larger structures extend for several kilometers, with walls placed with such precision that it suggests not only careful planning, but possibly an understanding of herd behavior and movement patterns that borders on scientific observation. How did communities organize labor on such a scale without the political structures of later civilizations? How much knowledge of animal psychology and environmental strategy did these ancient people possess? Further intrigue arises from the variations among different desert kites. While many conform to the familiar funnel and enclosure design, Others exhibit more complex arrangements, multiple enclosures, intersecting funnels, and geometric patterns whose purpose is less clear. Could these variations indicate regional experimentation, ritual significance, or adaptations to different landscapes and prey? Some researchers suggest that the kites may have had more than a purely practical function, perhaps serving ceremonial purposes or acting as territorial markers visible from the air or distant hills. The precision and endurance of these structures hint at a sophistication that challenges assumptions about prehistoric societies in the region. Speculation extends even further when considering the possibility of lost knowledge. Could the builders of the desert kites have understood seasonal migration patterns, astronomical alignments, or ecological cycles in ways that we do not fully appreciate today? Some fringe theories even suggest that the geometric regularity, when viewed from above, hints at early aerial observation, though this remains purely speculative, as there is no evidence of flight or airborne perspective in prehistoric times. Still, the clarity of the design from a bird's-eye view encourages questions about how ancient people perceived and manipulated their environment. Visiting the desert kites in person, one is struck by their subtlety and enormity simultaneously. Walking along the low stone walls, the scale of human labor becomes tangible. Each stone placed deliberately, each corridor carefully aligned. The desert stretches endlessly, silent except for the wind, yet the structures themselves speak across millennia, testifying to human creativity, persistence, and ingenuity. One cannot help but imagine the herds of animals funneled into the enclosures, the coordinated efforts of communities working together to survive, and the intimate knowledge of the land that must have been required to construct such a system. The desert kites also invite contemplation about the human relationship with nature. They are a stark reminder of our ancestors' ability to observe, predict, and manipulate natural behavior for survival. Yet they also highlight a broader truth, that even the most practical human endeavors can take on a mysterious and almost artistic quality when viewed through the lens of time. The lines carved into the desert floor endure long after the people who built them have vanished, turning survival strategy into a landscape that intrigues and inspires curiosity today. Despite decades of research, many aspects of the desert kites remain unresolved. Were they primarily functional hunting traps? Or did they also serve social, ritual, or symbolic purposes? How much knowledge, now lost, was embedded in their design? And beyond these questions lies the larger mystery of human innovation. How often do we encounter landscapes that preserve silent evidence of intelligence, foresight, and creativity in ways that challenge our modern assumptions? As the desert sun dips low, casting long shadows across the stone walls and arid plains, the desert kites endure as a quiet, monumental testament to human ingenuity and mystery. They invite us to observe, to question, and to imagine, reminding us that even in the emptiest, harshest places, evidence of our ancestors' skill and vision can survive, waiting for those willing to trace the lines and consider the hidden stories they contain. In their silence, the kites pose a question that remains open to this day. What other secrets, etched into the earth itself, lie waiting for discovery, whispering across time, and challenging our understanding of the prehistoric world? From the windswept deserts of the Middle East, where the desert kites stretch across the sand as silent testimony to ancient ingenuity, our journey now carries us across the vast Pacific to the remote and rugged landscapes of Rapa Nui, Easter Island. Here, atop the undulating plains of volcanic rock and overlooking the endless expanse of the South Pacific, we encounter one of the island's most enigmatic architectural achievements, Ahu Vinapu. Unlike the towering Moai statues that dominate popular imagination, this ceremonial platform draws attention not for size alone, but for the remarkable precision of its construction, a mystery that has confounded archaeologists and captivated explorers for decades. Ahu Vinapu sits upon a raised stone platform, a structure both simple in concept and extraordinary in execution. Its walls are composed of massive, polygonal stones, each meticulously cut and fitted so precisely that the gaps between them are nearly imperceptible. The stones vary in size, some weighing several tons, yet they interlock in a manner that has resisted centuries of wind, rain, and seismic activity. The craftsmanship is reminiscent of other megalithic traditions around the world, yet the techniques used to achieve such perfect alignment remain the subject of intense debate. How did the islanders, isolated thousands of miles from other civilizations, shape and place stones with such accuracy? What tools, knowledge, or techniques did they employ? And why does the work suggest an understanding of geometry and construction that seems surprisingly advanced? Archaeologists agree that Ahu Vinapu, like other Ahu on Easter Island, served as a ceremonial platform, a sacred space for the worship of ancestors and a center for ritual activity. Its orientation and positioning are deliberate. The platform faces east, aligning with the rising sun, a feature echoed in other Polynesian structures where celestial observation played a key role in religious practice. Some researchers suggest that the site may have been used to mark significant solar events, perhaps related to agricultural cycles or cosmological ceremonies, underscoring the islanders' sophisticated awareness of time and the heavens. Yet, unlike the more commonly studied Ahu Vinapu's stonework is distinguished by its uncanny precision, which has prompted a wealth of questions about the origins and influences of its construction techniques. Mainstream explanations emphasize human ingenuity. The Rapa Nui people were master stoneworkers, capable of shaping and transporting enormous blocks of volcanic rock with basic tools and the collective effort of large workforces. Their ingenuity is evident across the island, from the colossal moai to the quarrying and transport methods used to move stones across rugged terrain. Yet, the precise fit and unusual angularity of the stones at Ahu Vinapu have led some researchers to speculate about possible external influences. Comparisons have been drawn to the polygonal masonry of the Inca in Peru, where massive stones are fitted with similar care and precision, raising tantalizing questions. Could there have been trans-Pacific contact that influenced construction knowledge? Or is this an extraordinary convergence of independent development? The mystery deepens when considering the platform's construction in relation to the surrounding landscape. The stones appear almost sculpted to conform to one another, creating walls that have withstood earthquakes that have reshaped the volcanic terrain over centuries. Some observers note that the technique seems unusually advanced, even by Polynesian standards, hinting at either lost knowledge or a level of craftsmanship that surpasses what might be expected from a small, isolated population. Was Ahu Vinapu the work of generations refining techniques over time, or the product of a single, extraordinary vision of engineering? And if it reflects knowledge lost to history, what might it reveal about the island's past and the people who shaped it? Speculation naturally arises in the absence of complete answers. Some fringe theories propose that the construction methods at Ahu Vinapu could indicate knowledge passed from an ancient, seafaring civilization with wider reach than previously believed. Others suggest that the unusual precision reflects an understanding of structural principles that would not be officially recognized for centuries elsewhere. While these ideas remain unproven, they underscore the enduring fascination of Ahu Vinapu. It is not only a product of human labor, but also a monument that challenges our understanding of what ancient societies were capable of achieving in isolation. Visiting Ahu Vinapu today is an almost meditative experience. The volcanic terrain stretches in all directions, jagged ridges meeting the endless horizon, while the stone platform rises with an air of permanence, its sharp angles and fitted stones resisting the erosion of centuries. Standing on the Ahu, one feels both the enormity of human effort and the quiet ingenuity embedded in each block. The site exudes a sense of reverence, inviting reflection on the people who shaped it and the knowledge they must have possessed. It is a place that encourages curiosity, patience, and wonder, where every stone seems to pose a question as much as it conveys a story. The mystery of Ahu Vinapu lies not only in its construction, but in its implications. How did a small island society achieve such remarkable precision in shaping massive stones? What purposes did the platform serve beyond the ceremonial? And how much knowledge has been lost over time? Could there have been connections, direct or indirect, to distant civilizations? Or does Ahu Vinapu stand as an extraordinary testament to human creativity arising independently in isolation? These questions linger in the Pacific breeze, unanswered, yet compelling in their persistence. Ahu Vinapu reminds us that mysteries of the ancient world are often subtle, residing not in the grandest monuments alone, but in the quiet perfection of human craftsmanship preserved across centuries. It is a structure that bridges the gap between the known and the unknown, a silent challenge to historians, archaeologists, and explorers alike, to look closer, to question assumptions, and to consider that the ingenuity of our ancestors often transcends the boundaries we impose upon it. As the waves of the Pacific crash against the distant shores and the volcanic landscape stretches into the horizon, the platform stands as a sentinel of mystery, whispering across time and inviting us to wonder what secrets of skill, knowledge, and human vision may still lie hidden, waiting to be discovered. From the remote volcanic landscapes of Rapa Nui, where Ahu Vinapu challenges our understanding of ancient engineering, our journey now brings us to the arid plains of southern Peru, near the town of Ica. Amid the ochre hills and dusty valleys, a collection of stones lies quietly in private collections and local museums, seemingly ordinary at first glance. Yet upon closer inspection, these Ica Stones reveal images etched into their surfaces, scenes that defy conventional historical timelines and challenge our understanding of prehistoric life. These artifacts, numbering in the tens of thousands, depict humans interacting with dinosaurs, performing complex surgeries, and engaging in advanced agricultural and astronomical practices. The stones themselves are small, easily held in one's hand, yet each carries remarkable detail. Carved from a local igneous rock, their engravings are sharp and precise, portraying figures with anatomically accurate features, intricate tools, and complex scenes that suggest knowledge far beyond what is conventionally attributed to pre-Columbian societies. Some images show humans wielding spears alongside creatures that closely resemble pterosaurs or sauropods, while others depict advanced medical procedures, including brain surgery and cesarean sections. The level of detail invites careful observation. The lines are deliberate, the proportions meticulous, and the scenes strikingly lifelike. Mainstream scholars approach the Ica Stones with skepticism. Many suggest they are modern creations, possibly fabricated in the 20th century for commercial gain or as hoaxes, a notion supported by testimonies from local artisans who admitted to producing replicas for sale to tourists. Indeed, the first stones came to international attention in the 1960s when Dr. Javier Cabrera, a Peruvian physician, began collecting them extensively. While the possibility of forgery cannot be dismissed entirely, the sheer volume of the stones and the variety of scenes depicted present a puzzle. Why would so many replicas be created with such consistency and complexity? And what does this suggest about the cultural imagination and knowledge of those producing them? Yet, even among skeptics, certain aspects of the stones remain enigmatic. The techniques used for carving and the natural patina that covers many stones suggest some level of antiquity. Experts note that the erosion patterns on certain artifacts are difficult to replicate artificially, hinting that at least some of the collection may predate the modern era. Moreover, the stones contain depictions of extinct creatures and geological phenomena that appear to reflect an understanding of the natural world lost for thousands of years. If genuine, these artifacts raise profound questions. Could ancient peoples have had knowledge of dinosaurs, advanced medicine, or astronomy that modern science only later rediscovered? The Ica Stones also compel reflection on human cognition and the transmission of knowledge. How could a society without metal tools, written language, or formalized science produce such detailed and consistent representations? Were these depictions symbolic, mythological, or literal records of historical events? Some researchers speculate that the stones may encode oral histories, cosmological beliefs, or ritualistic practices, using imagery to preserve and transmit knowledge across generations. If so, what stories, experiences, or insights have been lost, waiting for interpretation? Adding to the intrigue is the context of their discovery. Many stones were found scattered across desert slopes, buried beneath layers of sand and soil, occasionally near ancient burial sites or ceremonial locations. This placement raises further questions. Were the stones intentionally hidden, safeguarded as sacred objects, or simply discarded after use? Their dispersal across the Ica region suggests that they held significance within local culture, though the exact nature of that significance remains a matter of conjecture. The Ica Stones also provoke broader questions about history itself. How much of the past is lost, altered, or misunderstood due to gaps in the archaeological record? Can a single artifact, or collection of artifacts, challenge established chronologies, or do we risk imposing modern interpretations on evidence whose meaning has been obscured by time? These questions underscore the enduring fascination with the Ica Stones. Whether hoax or genuine, they invite us to reconsider assumptions about human knowledge, creativity, and observation in the ancient world. Holding one of these stones, the viewer is struck by the intimacy of its storytelling. Each carving feels deliberate, almost like a window into a mind from the distant past. The scenes invite contemplation of human ambition, curiosity, and ingenuity, as well as of the mysteries that survive when other records have vanished. There is a tension here, between skepticism and wonder, between the evidence we can verify and the questions that remain tantalizingly open. The stone's enigmatic depictions of creatures, technology, and rituals suggest that our understanding of ancient life is incomplete. Could there have been knowledge or experiences now lost to history? Did ancient peoples observe and interpret their world in ways that we are only beginning to appreciate? Or are the stones a reflection of imagination and creativity, a narrative art form capable of bridging reality and myth? In either case, they endure as provocations to curiosity, inviting the observer to pause, reflect, and consider the depth of human ingenuity. As the sun sets over the dusty Ica Valley, casting long shadows across hills and scattered rocks, the stones lie silently, their carvings whispering across centuries. They remind us that mystery is an integral part of archaeology. It is not always the monumental structures or famous artifacts that challenge our understanding, but sometimes the smallest objects, meticulously etched with care, that provoke the greatest questions. The Ica Stones, in their ambiguity and intrigue, ask us to look closer, think deeper, and wonder about the hidden stories of the past. What secrets, lost to time, might still be waiting beneath the sands? And what do they reveal about the limits and possibilities of human knowledge and imagination? From the arid plains of Ica, where intricately carved stones whisper of unknown knowledge and ancient mysteries, our journey moves across continents to the bustling heart of India, where history rises from stone and metal in a monument that continues to defy explanation. the Iron Pillar of Delhi. Standing silently within the Qutb complex, this towering column captures the attention of all who approach, not for ornate decoration, but for a mystery embedded in its very substance, a mystery that has endured for more than 16 centuries. The pillar rises to a height of over 7 meters, its smooth, dark surface gleaming in the Indian sun. Crafted from nearly pure iron, it bears inscriptions in Sanskrit, dating it to around the 4th century CE, during the reign of Chandragupta II. Yet what draws astonishment from scientists, historians, and visitors alike is not its age, nor the inscriptions alone, but the fact that the pillar has withstood the ravages of time, weather, and Delhi's seasonal monsoons without significant corrosion. Unlike most iron exposed to the elements for centuries, it remains remarkably intact, a silent testament to an advanced knowledge of metallurgy that has yet to be fully explained. Historians suggest that the pillar was erected as a tribute to the king's achievements, inscribed with verses praising valor and divine favor. Its presence within the Qutb complex, a site later dominated by Islamic architecture, adds to its allure, as it has survived invasions, urban development, and centuries of exposure to pollution and acid rain. Yet despite these challenges, its resistance to rust is extraordinary. How did the ironworkers of the Gupta Empire achieve such durability without modern technology? What methods of smelting, forging, or chemical treatment were employed to create a pillar capable of enduring more than a millennium? Scientific investigation provides some clues, though not complete answers. Research indicates that the pillar's unique resistance comes from a combination of its high phosphorus content, slow corrosion rates, and the formation of a protective passive film on its surface. The craftsmanship suggests precise control over smelting temperatures and techniques, remarkable for a period when most ironwork was prone to rapid decay. Yet while modern metallurgy can partially replicate these results, the exact methods used by ancient Indian ironworkers remain a topic of ongoing study and fascination. How did artisans, working without contemporary instruments or chemical understanding, develop such expertise? Was it the result of trial, observation, and skill passed through generations, or something more deliberate and systematic than conventional history credits? Beyond its metallurgical wonder, the iron pillar also inspires speculation about cultural and spiritual significance. Inscriptions extol not only the king's power, but also suggest a connection between divine favor and human achievement, hinting at a worldview in which technical mastery and spiritual insight were intertwined. Could the pillar's resistance to decay have been interpreted as a symbol of enduring legacy, of permanence in a world defined by impermanence? The notion that the very metal might defy nature adds a layer of philosophical mystery to an already remarkable artifact. Some have ventured even further into speculation. Could knowledge of advanced ironworking techniques, preserved in secret workshops or esoteric traditions, have been deliberately encoded in the pillar itself? Could it reflect a body of technical wisdom that has since been lost, hinting at capabilities far ahead of what we typically attribute to the period? While such ideas remain conjectural, they underscore the fascination the pillar inspires. It is not merely an artifact, but a puzzle, a demonstration of human ingenuity that challenges our assumptions about the limits of ancient technology. To stand before the iron pillar is to feel the weight of time and the quiet achievement of human skill. Its smooth surface, worn slightly by centuries of touch and pilgrimage, invites both reflection and awe. One senses a continuity, a lineage of artisans and thinkers whose knowledge has survived, albeit largely unrecorded, through the pillar itself. The monument is at once practical, spiritual, and symbolic, a statement of power, an example of extraordinary craftsmanship, and a physical embodiment of endurance that transcends the ages. the pillar's mystery extends beyond its composition to its placement and orientation. Its location within the Qutb complex, alignment relative to other structures, and the choice of inscriptions all suggest deliberate planning. Was the pillar intended primarily as a technological marvel, a spiritual symbol, or both? And if the techniques employed to forge it were so advanced, why did they not become widespread, influencing other constructions of the period in India or beyond? These questions linger, inviting contemplation of the complex interplay between knowledge, culture, and the preservation of skill. Even today, as the city of Delhi hums around it, the iron pillar continues to captivate engineers, historians, and travelers alike. Its silent, unyielding presence is a reminder that the past holds lessons and enigmas that modern science can explore, but not fully claim to master. What other artifacts might exist, lost or unrecognized, that embody a similar mastery of material and vision? And what does the pillar tell us about the ambitions, knowledge, and ingenuity of the people who created it? Artisans whose work has endured not just physically, but in the imagination of every observer who has paused to wonder at its perfection. The Iron Pillar of Delhi stands as both an enduring monument and a question cast in metal. It is a testament to human skill, a challenge to our understanding of ancient technology, and an invitation to reflect on the mysteries that survive, quietly yet powerfully, across the centuries. Its corrosion-resistant surface may be understood scientifically, but the full story of the artisans, the methods, and the vision that produced it remains elusive, waiting to be pieced together from history, chemistry, and imagination. What secrets, hidden in plain sight, might still lie within the legacies of the past, patiently awaiting those who seek them? From the bustling heart of Delhi, where the Iron Pillar stands as a silent testament to ancient mastery and enduring mystery, our journey now carries us across continents once more to the rugged landscapes of Lebanon. Here, amid rolling hills and limestone outcrops, we encounter a structure that has puzzled travelers, historians, and archaeologists for centuries: the Trilithon stones of Baalbek. These colossal blocks, part of the foundation of the ancient Roman temple complex, evoke both awe and bewilderment, not only for their sheer size, but for the enigma of their construction. The Trilithon consists of 3 enormous stone blocks, each weighing an estimated 800 to 1,000 tons, arranged in precise alignment to support what would later become part of the grand Roman sanctuary dedicated to Jupiter. The stones are so massive that even modern engineering struggles to replicate their placement. Their surfaces are remarkably smooth, edges straight and angular, fitting together with a precision that defies expectation for an era long before cranes, hydraulic lifts, or contemporary transport technology. Standing beside them, one cannot help but feel dwarfed, not just by their physical presence, but by the centuries of skill, labor, and ingenuity embedded within each monolith. Archaeological consensus places the construction of the Baalbek platform largely within the Roman period, though the origins of the Trilithon stones themselves remain debated. Some researchers argue that the stones were quarried and positioned by the Romans, while others suggest that they may predate the Roman occupation, possibly linked to an earlier, now-lost civilization with capabilities that far surpass what we have been able to reconstruct. If so, who were these people, and how did they move stones of such unimaginable weight across uneven terrain and lift them into place with astonishing accuracy? The logistics alone are staggering. Modern attempts to replicate the placement of smaller megaliths have required complex machinery, precise calculations, and considerable manpower. Yet the builders of the Trilithon accomplished this feat thousands of years ago using tools that, while sophisticated for their time, seem inadequate for the task. Ramps, levers, and ropes may have been used, but the absence of definitive archaeological evidence leaves the methods largely speculative. How could ancient workers achieve the coordination and physical power required, especially considering the limited technology available? Were these the results of decades-long communal effort, a lost technique, or knowledge that has vanished with time? The stones themselves hold subtle clues that hint at deliberate planning and extraordinary skill. Their massive weight has not caused the ground beneath them to collapse, suggesting an advanced understanding of load distribution and foundation engineering. The angles and smoothness of the stone surfaces imply careful shaping and fitting, with an attention to detail that seems almost ceremonial. Some researchers point to alignments within the broader temple complex that correspond to celestial events, reinforcing the idea that these megaliths were more than mere functional supports. They may have been conceived with a symbolic or astronomical purpose in mind. Could the builders have combined engineering with cosmology, creating a structure that harmonized both practical and sacred imperatives? Speculation naturally extends beyond mainstream explanations. Fringe theories propose that the Trilithon stones were part of an even older megalithic tradition, possibly built by a civilization whose knowledge of engineering, astronomy, and construction has been lost to history. Comparisons have been drawn to other ancient megalithic sites, from the pyramids of Egypt to Stonehenge, highlighting striking parallels in precision, alignment, and ambition. Yet there is no definitive evidence to suggest a direct connection, leaving us to marvel at the possibility of independent mastery arising in disparate regions across the globe. Visiting Baalbek today, one is struck by the interplay of scale and silence. The Trilithon dominates the platform, its massive stones dwarfing the modern visitor while evoking the labor and ingenuity of ancient hands. The surrounding ruins speak of civilizations that revered, modified, and built upon the site across millennia. The air is heavy with history, and each stone seems to hold secrets of organization, skill, and intention that remain tantalizingly just out of reach. Standing there, one can imagine the long hours, coordinated effort, and collective ingenuity required to accomplish such a feat, and yet the precise methods remain a matter of speculation. The mystery of the Trilithon is not confined to physical construction alone. It also raises profound questions about the people who conceived of and executed such monumental works. Were they ordinary laborers guided by extraordinary planners, or masters of a lost science of engineering? Did the stones carry symbolic meaning as much as structural function, perhaps marking power, religious devotion, or cosmic order? And if they predate the Romans, what civilization had the knowledge, resources, and social organization capable of moving and placing stones of such size with such precision? Even after centuries of study, the Trilithon stones continue to challenge our assumptions about what ancient societies could achieve. Their size, placement, and enduring stability demand contemplation of human ingenuity, persistence, and perhaps knowledge that has since been forgotten. They are a reminder that history is not only recorded in texts, but etched into the earth itself, in stone that survives the passage of time to question, inspire, and provoke curiosity. As the sun dips over the Baalbek Plateau, casting shadows that accentuate the massive contours of the Trilithon, the stones seem almost alive in their silent testimony. They invite us to consider the intersection of human ambition, technical mastery, and mystery, reminding us that even the most monumental achievements may still conceal secrets lost to time. How were these giants of stone moved? What knowledge, now vanished, enabled their precise placement? And what other enigmas lie hidden within the ruins of civilizations long past, waiting for patient observation and careful investigation to reveal their truths? The Trilithon stones endure as both an architectural wonder and a profound question, bridging past and present, tangible skill and enduring mystery. They challenge us to ponder the limits of human achievement, the mysteries of ancient engineering, and the stories that may yet remain concealed, carved silently into the earth itself. From the colossal megaliths of Baalbek, where the Trilithon stones continue to baffle with their immense scale and precision, our journey shifts northward to a landscape far different in both form and mood: the mist-laden peat bogs of northern Europe. In the quiet, waterlogged wetlands of Denmark, Germany, Ireland, and the Netherlands, the earth preserves a secret that has fascinated archaeologists and historians for centuries: the bog bodies. These remarkably preserved human remains, discovered within the dark, acidic waters of peat bogs, offer a window into lives and deaths shrouded in mystery. The first encounter with a bog body is striking. Emerging from the peat, often darkened to a near-black hue, the skin is leathery yet intact. Hair remains in place, and facial features, sometimes even eyelashes, are astonishingly well preserved. The bodies appear almost lifelike, frozen in a moment, suspended across 2 millennia. Some are discovered with clothing or accessories, others with ropes or bindings suggesting violence. Each find carries the eerie impression of a life abruptly ended, preserved by the unique chemistry of the bog: low oxygen, high acidity, and tannins in the peat that inhibit decay. Scientific analysis dates most bog bodies to the Iron Age, roughly 800 BCE to 400 CE, though some extend earlier or later. Their preservation allows for an extraordinary level of study. Forensic examination can reveal not only the cause of death, but details of diet, health, and even childhood conditions. Teeth and bones speak of nutrition, stomach contents provide insight into last meals, and microscopic pollen analysis can reconstruct the landscape and season in which the individual lived and died. Yet despite this wealth of information, the circumstances surrounding many of these deaths remain enigmatic. Were they ritual sacrifices, executions, or murders? Why were these individuals placed specifically in bogs rather than buried in conventional graves? Mainstream archaeology suggests a variety of explanations. Many scholars point to ritualistic practices of Iron Age societies, noting that bogs were often considered liminal spaces, boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds. Depositing a body in such a site may have held symbolic meaning, perhaps as an offering to deities or as a form of social punishment. Some bodies exhibit signs of strangulation, stabbing, or blunt force trauma, indicating violent deaths. In certain cases, elaborate care seems evident. Some bodies were carefully laid out, while others were placed in a manner that suggests deliberate concealment. The interpretation remains complex, dependent on context, region, and available evidence. Yet even with these explanations, the bog bodies continue to provoke more questions than answers. Why do some bodies show no external wounds, yet clearly died violently? Why do particular bogs contain clusters of bodies while others remain empty? Could there have been a system of selection, a social or religious significance that dictated who was sacrificed, executed, or interred in these wetlands? And beyond human intention, the bog itself becomes a collaborator in preservation. A slow chemical embrace that arrests decay in ways both natural and mysterious. Some discoveries hint at even deeper mysteries. The Toland man, found in Denmark in 1950, remains one of the most studied bog bodies. Strangled with a rope, his facial expression appears peaceful, almost serene. His last meal, a simple porridge, was still in his stomach, offering a poignant glimpse into the ordinary life that preceded an extraordinary death. Similarly, the Grobal man, discovered nearby, exhibits detailed forensic clues about health, diet, and violent demise. These bodies challenge us to imagine the human experience across centuries, to confront lives ended suddenly, and to interpret gestures and rituals that remain largely alien to modern understanding. Speculation naturally arises, extending beyond mainstream archaeology. Some suggest that bog bodies may reveal more than ritualistic practices. They could indicate social hierarchies, justice systems, or even political dynamics of ancient communities. Were certain individuals chosen for sacrifice because of status, transgression, or symbolic significance? Could patterns of placement and injury reflect a form of communication across generations, messages encoded in death and preserved in the peat? While evidence is fragmentary, the possibilities underscore the richness and complexity of human behavior in prehistory. Visiting a bog where such bodies have been discovered, one is struck by the silence and stillness, the thick mist rolling over dark waters, and the subtle hum of life in reeds and moss. The landscape seems almost otherworldly, as though the bog itself has absorbed centuries of memory and holds secrets in suspension. To stand there is to feel a profound connection to the past, a sense of lives lived, choices made, and deaths that resonated beyond the individuals themselves. The bogs are both preservers and storytellers, capturing moments with unparalleled fidelity, yet leaving the larger narrative frustratingly incomplete. The mystery of the bog bodies is thus twofold: the science of preservation and the enigma of human intention. The chemistry of the bogs can be explained with modern analysis, yet the lives, decisions, and rituals that brought these people to their watery graves remain elusive. How did these societies conceptualize life, death, and the sacred? What cultural, spiritual, or political forces led to these deaths? And why did certain bodies endure so perfectly while others vanished without trace? And, perhaps most hauntingly, what can these silent witnesses tell us about our own understanding of mortality, ritual, and the passage of time? As the mist drifts across the waterlogged landscape and the peat preserves the echoes of lives long past, the bog bodies continue to captivate, challenge, and intrigue. They remind us that archaeology is not only the study of objects, monuments, or ruins, but of human experience itself, often shrouded in enigma and waiting for patient observation. The bogs hold their secrets close, preserving them with a stillness that is both scientific and profoundly poetic. And in that stillness, we are left with questions that remain open. What other stories, preserved in soil and water, have yet to be discovered, and what do they reveal about the human condition across time and space? From the mist-laden peat bogs of northern Europe, where the bog bodies reveal lives suspended across millennia, our journey now moves to the sun-drenched landscapes of Sardinia, Italy. Here, amid rolling hills, ancient settlements, and rugged coastlines, archaeologists have uncovered a discovery that has both astonished and perplexed the modern world: the giants of Mont'e Prama. These colossal statues, once buried and forgotten for centuries, emerge as silent witnesses to a civilization whose skill, vision, and purpose are still only partially understood. The site at Mont'e Prama is a cemetery of giants, stretching across a plain that seems unremarkable at first glance, yet hiding within the earth a series of extraordinary stone figures. Standing between 2 and 4 meters tall, these statues depict warriors, archers, and boxers, each rendered with striking geometric detail. Their faces are solemn, eyes wide and almond-shaped, sometimes bearing mustaches, shields, or intricate armor etched into the limestone. Even in fragments, the figures convey a sense of movement and purpose, as though frozen in mid-gesture, giving life to the stones in a way that transcends the ordinary. Carbon dating and stylistic analysis suggest that these statues were crafted between the 9th and 8th centuries BCE, during the Nuragic civilization, which flourished across Sardinia long before the rise of Rome. The scale and precision of the sculptures are remarkable, particularly considering the tools available to the Nuragic people. The choice of limestone, the careful carving of geometric patterns, and the proportionally accurate human forms indicate not only technical skill, but also a sophisticated aesthetic sensibility. How did these artisans achieve such precision? What techniques allowed them to carve, transport, and arrange figures of this magnitude? The placement of the statues adds another layer of intrigue. They were interred in circular tombs, the so-called giant graves of Mont'e Prama, suggesting a funerary or ceremonial purpose. Many researchers believe the figures served as guardians of the dead, monumental representations of the community's warriors, leaders, or ancestors. Yet, the sheer size of some statues, combined with the apparent standardization of form, raises questions about labor organization, social structure, and the symbolic messages intended by these figures. Were they intended to intimidate, inspire, or protect? And why were they eventually buried, only to be rediscovered millennia later? One of the most compelling aspects of Mont'e Prama is the craftsmanship. Each statue's limbs are carved in angular, almost abstract forms, while the faces retain a stylized realism. This combination of abstraction and realism is strikingly modern, suggesting that the Nuragic civilization possessed an aesthetic sensibility far beyond what is commonly attributed to Bronze Age societies. How did they conceive of such forms, and what cultural or spiritual ideals were encoded within them? Could these statues represent a synthesis of art, ritual, and social identity, embodying values that modern observers can only partially interpret? Speculation naturally extends beyond mainstream archaeological interpretation. Some scholars have noted stylistic similarities between the Mont'e Prama statues and other Mediterranean cultures, including influences from the Phoenicians or Mycenaeans. Could trade, migration, or cultural exchange have introduced new artistic techniques? Or does this reflect a remarkable instance of parallel development? Others ponder the possibility that the Nuragic people possessed symbolic knowledge, perhaps linked to cosmology, martial tradition, or social hierarchy, that dictated both the form and placement of the statues. The answers remain elusive, but the questions themselves reveal the depth of human imagination in antiquity. Visiting Mont'e Prama today, one is immediately struck by the scale and solemnity of the site. Even partially reconstructed, the statues convey a sense of presence, as though the figures gaze across the centuries, silently asserting their existence and purpose. Walking among them, the visitor senses a connection to a culture long vanished, a society capable of monumental creativity and symbolic expression. The stones, worn and fragmented yet enduring, invite reflection on mortality, memory, and the desire to communicate across generations. The mystery of Mont'e Prama extends beyond the statues themselves. Why were these figures buried, seemingly deliberately, in an effort to conceal them? Was it ritual closure, political upheaval, or another cultural imperative now lost to time? And what does the sophistication of the work suggest about the capabilities and organization of the Nuragic civilization? Unlike more famous monumental sites, Mont'e Prama challenges modern assumptions about prehistoric Europe, revealing a culture capable of monumental art, social coordination, and symbolic communication that rivals other early Mediterranean societies. Each fragment uncovered from the tombs offers tantalizing clues, but no definitive answers. Researchers continue to debate the chronology, function, and meaning of the statues, balancing scientific analysis with careful interpretation of iconography and context. The site is both archaeological puzzle and artistic marvel, a place where stone speaks in silence, inviting those who study it to consider the ingenuity, beliefs, and ambitions of a people otherwise known largely through their settlements and fortresses. As the Sardinian sun dips low over the plains of Mont'e Prama, the shadows of the statues stretch across the earth, their silent forms commanding attention and contemplation. They remind us that human creativity, symbolic thought, and technical skill are not confined to the civilizations most often celebrated in history books. Across time and geography, people have sought to memorialize, to communicate, and to assert meaning through enduring works. And yet, in this quiet cemetery of giants, questions remain. Who were these figures meant to honor? And why did their civilization choose to conceal them for centuries? What stories, ideals, or memories are encoded in stone, waiting for discovery and understanding? The giants of Monte Prama stand not only as a testament to the Nuragic people, but also as an enduring invitation to wonder. Their presence challenges assumptions, provokes curiosity, and reminds us that much of the ancient world remains mysterious, awaiting patient observation, careful study, and the imagination to interpret what may never be fully known. From the sun-drenched plains of Sardinia, where the giants of Monte Prama silently guard the memories of an ancient civilization. Our journey now carries us northward across the stormy North Atlantic to the windswept coast of Orkney, Scotland. Here, amid rolling green fields battered by salt-laden winds and encroaching seas, lies one of the most remarkably preserved Neolithic settlements in Europe, Saqqara Bird. Unlike monumental statues or colossal megaliths, Saqqara Bird is modest in scale, yet its preservation and detail offer an intimate window into daily life some 5,000 years ago, raising profound questions about the people who lived here and the society they created. Saqqara Bird emerges from the earth like a ghostly village, its stone-built houses nestled in a low-lying, sheltered landscape. The settlement was revealed in the mid-19th century, after a fierce storm stripped away layers of soil and sand, exposing walls, furniture, and artifacts that had lain hidden for millennia. The structures themselves are compact, yet ingeniously designed. Thick stone walls support roofs that have long vanished. Interior spaces feature built-in stone beds. Dressers and storage boxes and cleverly constructed drains suggest an awareness of hygiene and water management uncommon for its time. Walking among these ancient rooms, one feels an almost tangible presence of the people who once inhabited them, as if the walls themselves remember footsteps, conversations, and daily rituals now lost to history. Archaeologists date Saqqara Bird to roughly 3,180 to 2,500 BCE, making it older than the Great Pyramids of Giza and Stonehenge. Its preservation is largely due to the settlement being buried under sand for centuries, protecting delicate structures and organic materials from the harsh North Atlantic weather. Yet what strikes scholars is not merely the survival of stone walls, but the sophistication of design. Each dwelling is arranged with functional precision, featuring workspaces, sleeping areas, and storage, all optimized for the small, communal living spaces. The layout suggests careful planning, an understanding of social cohesion, and attention to both comfort and efficiency. How did a small, isolated community develop such architectural consistency? What social or cultural forces shaped the design of these homes? And why was such ingenuity necessary in a remote, windswept environment? The artifacts found within Saqqara Bird deepen the intrigue. Everyday objects, stone tools, intricately carved ornaments, and delicate jewelry reveal a society capable of both survival and artistic expression. Particular attention has been given to carved stone mace heads and decorative items whose purpose remains uncertain. Were they ceremonial, symbolic, or utilitarian? And the very arrangement of items within the houses suggests a careful approach to domestic space and social interaction. For example, the central placement of hearths and the orientation of beds and storage indicate a sophisticated understanding of spatial organization, offering clues to patterns of family life, hierarchy, and daily routines. Mainstream interpretations emphasize the practical aspects of the settlement, a community adapting to harsh conditions, maximizing resources, and ensuring cohesion and survival. Yet Saqqara Bird also raises more enigmatic questions. How did these people acquire and maintain knowledge of construction techniques, farming, and craft specialization in a remote location? Was there contact with other Neolithic communities, exchanging knowledge and trade goods, or did Saqqara Bird represent an isolated innovation in human ingenuity? And intriguingly, why was the settlement eventually abandoned and left to be buried beneath sand, only to be rediscovered millennia later? Speculative theories abound, highlighting the air of mystery that surrounds Saqqara Bird. Some researchers suggest that the village may have had ritual or cosmological significance, its orientation and construction reflecting beliefs or observations of celestial patterns. Others wonder whether environmental pressures, such as rising sea levels or shifting climate, forced its inhabitants to relocate, leaving the site as a time capsule preserved under sand. Could there have been social or political factors, conflicts or migrations, that determined the fate of the settlement? While evidence is scarce, the questions themselves illustrate the complexity and depth of human experience in this distant era. Visiting Saqqara Bird today, one is immediately struck by the intimacy of the site. Unlike monumental structures that overwhelm with scale, the settlement draws observers into the lived experience of its residents. Stone beds, hearths, and storage spaces are tangible connections to everyday life. Meals prepared, children nurtured, work undertaken, and stories shared within these small rooms. The scale encourages reflection, allowing us to imagine individuals moving through their daily routines, shaping tools, tending animals, or engaging in conversation in spaces that have endured the harsh test of time. The mystery of Saqqara Bird lies not only in its survival, but in the questions it provokes. What motivated the design of these homes with such efficiency and care? How did a small, remote population develop such technical skill, and what knowledge has been lost to history? Were there social, spiritual, or cosmological dimensions encoded into the very fabric of the settlement that remain invisible to us? And perhaps most poignantly, why did the people leave, leaving behind a village that would be preserved like a snapshot in time for generations far into the future? As the wind sweeps across the grassy Orkney coastline and the waves crash against the nearby cliffs, Saqqara Bird seems suspended between past and present, a place where history whispers across the centuries. It reminds us that mystery often resides not only in monuments of grandeur but in the intimate spaces of human life, rooms, tools, and structures that reveal both ordinary routines and extraordinary ingenuity. The settlement invites contemplation of resilience, creativity, and the enduring human desire to shape and inhabit the world. And as we gaze upon the stone walls and silent hearths, we are left with a haunting question. What other stories of human innovation and adaptation lie buried beneath the earth, awaiting discovery, understanding, and reflection? Saqqara Bird endures as a monument to both survival and mystery, offering insights into human life while reminding us that the past is never fully known. In the preserved rooms, the echoes of daily existence merge with unanswered questions, inviting us to ponder the depth of human ingenuity, the fragility of civilizations, and the secrets still hidden beneath soil, sand, and time. From the windswept, stone-built homes of Saqqara Bird, where the daily lives of Neolithic inhabitants remain frozen in time, our journey now spans the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean to one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth, Easter Island, or Rapa Nui. Here, beyond the famed Moai statues that gaze silently over the island, there exists a mystery of a different kind, one encoded in symbols, carved with precision into wood, yet remaining stubbornly indecipherable. This is the enigma of the Rongo-Rongo script, a written language, or proto-writing system, that continues to challenge historians, linguists, and archaeologists alike. Rongo-Rongo is unlike any other known script, Its glyphs, incised onto wooden tablets, consist of stylized figures, animals, human-like forms, and abstract geometric shapes. The symbols are arranged in long, flowing lines that must be read in a unique boustrophodon style, alternating direction from line to line, creating a visual rhythm that is both intricate and deliberate. The tablets themselves, carefully carved from native woods such as Toromiro, have survived centuries in a humid, tropical environment, though many have deteriorated over time. Holding one of these tablets today, one cannot help but feel a profound sense of connection to the hands that etched each line, each curve, and each enigmatic figure. The origins of Rongo Rongo remain elusive. Scholars generally agree that the script was first documented in the 19th century, after the tragic decline of the Rapa Nui population due to disease, slavery, and societal disruption. Early visitors and missionaries collected tablets, recognizing their importance, but with the culture in upheaval, the knowledge of how to read them was lost. Attempts to decipher the script have been ongoing for more than a century, employing linguistic comparison, statistical analysis, and even computer modeling, yet no universally accepted translation exists. Why did such a complex system of symbols emerge in isolation? And what knowledge or beliefs did it encode? Mainstream research suggests that Rongo Rongo may have been a mnemonic system for recording genealogies, religious rituals, or astronomical observations. The repetition of certain glyphs and patterns hints at structured information, perhaps chronicling sacred knowledge or the deeds of prominent figures. Some researchers propose that it was used primarily by elite priests or scribes, a specialized form of communication that could only be interpreted by those trained in its conventions. Yet, despite these insights, the meaning of individual symbols and the full scope of the texts remain tantalizingly out of reach. The tablets themselves are mysterious in more ways than one. Some appear worn and polished from frequent handling, suggesting repeated ceremonial use, while others bear signs of care in carving and storage. Certain glyphs depict figures that seem fantastical, others that resemble animals or natural elements, leaving researchers to wonder whether the symbols are symbolic, narrative, or literal. Could the script have functioned as both writing and art, communicating layered meanings that were never intended to be fully accessible to outsiders, or even to the general population of the island? Speculation naturally arises when faced with such enduring ambiguity. Some have proposed that Rongo Rongo preserves knowledge of navigation, astronomy, or ritual practice, encoding a sophisticated understanding of the island's environment and cosmology. Others have suggested it might contain historical accounts, oral traditions, or genealogical records, a ledger of human experience frozen in wood. There are even fringe theories that the script hints at lost technologies or knowledge, though these remain speculative and lack concrete evidence. What is clear, however, is that the tablets were created with purpose and care, and that their continued survival speaks to the reverence with which they were treated. Visiting the island today, the atmosphere surrounding Rongo Rongo is almost palpable. The tablets, now preserved in museums or private collections, contrast with the massive moai scattered across the landscape, offering a more intimate glimpse into Rapa Nui culture. While the statues communicate power, presence, and artistic mastery, the tablets speak of thought, memory, and record-keeping, hinting at a society that valued knowledge, ritual, and continuity. The interplay between these monumental and miniature expressions underscores the complexity of the island's past, reminding us that human ingenuity takes many forms, sometimes monumental, sometimes delicate, and always purposeful. The enduring mystery of Rongo. Rongo lies not only in the inability to fully decipher it, but also in what its existence implies about the Rapa Nui people. How did a relatively isolated society develop a unique system of symbols so intricate that it remains undeciphered today? Was this knowledge widespread, or confined to a select group of scribes and priests? And perhaps most poignantly, what stories, histories, and wisdom were lost with the social upheaval that followed European contact. Each glyph invites contemplation, a meditation on human creativity, memory, and the fragility of knowledge. The tablets are a reminder that writing is more than a means of communication. It is a vessel for culture, belief, and identity. In the hands of the Rapa Nui, these symbols preserved aspects of their world, yet now, centuries later, we are left to decode their intentions, to imagine their stories, and to marvel at the complexity of a script that resists understanding across time and space. As the Pacific winds sweep across Rapa Nui and the Moai continue their silent vigil over the island, the Rongo Rongo tablets whisper of lost knowledge, human ingenuity, and the enduring power of symbols. They challenge us to consider the depth of what is preserved, the fragility of human memory, and the mysteries that survive only in the artifacts left behind. What secrets remain encoded in these glyphs, and what might they reveal about a society that mastered both stone and script, yet whose voice has been partially silenced by the passage of time? Rongo Rongo endures as both a puzzle and a testament, a reminder that even in isolation, humans have sought to record, communicate, and preserve their understanding of the world. The tablets invite us to look closer, think deeper, and wonder at the knowledge that may still be hidden, waiting for the day it can be fully understood. From the windswept isolation of Easter Island, where the Rongo Rongo script whispers of lost knowledge and vanished hands, our journey returns to the rugged landscapes of northern Europe, to a quiet valley in West Dunbartonshire, Scotland. Here, hidden among gentle hills and open fields, lies a remarkable relic of the prehistoric mind, the Cochno Stone. At first glance, it appears unassuming, a flat slab of exposed bedrock. But as one draws closer, the surface reveals an intricate labyrinth of carvings, circles, spirals, and mysterious geometric forms, etched into stone thousands of years ago, and still defying full comprehension. The Cochno Stone is one of the largest and most complex cup and ring marked stones in Britain, measuring approximately 43 feet by 26 feet. Its surface is densely decorated with hundreds of concentric rings, cup marks, and connecting grooves, creating a visual tapestry that seems at once deliberate and enigmatic. Walking across its surface, one is struck by the meticulous attention to proportion and rhythm, the way each circle seems to pulse against the stone, forming patterns that suggest meaning beyond mere decoration. What compelled our ancestors to carve such intricate symbols into this rock? What messages, rituals, or knowledge were encoded here, waiting to be read millennia later? Dating the Cochno Stone is challenging, but most researchers place it in the late Neolithic to early Bronze Age, roughly 3000 to 1500 BCE. These carvings belong to a broader tradition of cup and ring marks found across Britain and parts of Europe, yet few stones match the density and complexity of the Cochno Stone. Archaeologists believe such carvings may have served ceremonial, religious, or symbolic purposes, potentially related to cosmology, territorial marking, or ancestral reverence. Yet, despite decades of study, the precise meaning of these marks remains elusive. Some lines connect cup marks, forming networks that suggest maps, pathways, or star charts, but certainty is impossible. Could these carvings have functioned as a form of proto-writing, a symbolic language, or even a guide to celestial events? The physicality of the Cochno Stone also contributes to its mystery. Its location, now nestled in a quiet field near Faifley, may not reflect its original purpose, as stones of this kind were often positioned deliberately in landscapes visible from afar or in places of ritual significance. The effort required to carve hundreds of precise cup marks into hard stone implies a society that valued meticulous labor and symbolic expression. Did entire communities participate in their creation? Were these carvings the work of priests, shamans, or skilled artisans whose knowledge of ritual and symbolism guided every chisel strike? Scientific analysis has yielded fascinating clues, though not definitive answers. Lichen growth, weathering patterns, and microscopic examination provide some indication of age and method, while comparisons with other cup and ring stones suggest a widespread, shared cultural tradition. Yet the density and arrangement of carvings on the Cochno Stone remain unique. Some patterns seem deliberate in orientation, potentially aligning with solar, lunar, or stellar events. Others form labyrinthine networks that evoke the idea of journeys, both literal and spiritual. Could these carvings represent a map of the land, a record of the people's cosmology, or even a ceremonial site where initiation or rites of passage took place? Speculative theories naturally emerge when confronted with such enigmas. Fringe researchers have suggested the Cochno Stone might encode advanced astronomical knowledge, hidden mathematical principles, or even extraterrestrial influence. But such ideas remain outside mainstream scholarship. The stone itself refuses to yield its secrets easily, and it is precisely this tension between scientific inquiry and enduring mystery that gives the Cochno Stone its profound power to captivate. It embodies the silent persistence of the past, a record of human thought carved directly into the bedrock, resilient against millennia, yet resistant to interpretation. The Cochno Stone has also seen its share of preservation challenges. In the 1960s, it was deliberately buried beneath soil to protect it from vandalism, and only portions have been studied in detail. This concealment, while saving the carvings from further erosion, has reinforced the stone's aura of hidden knowledge, as though the earth itself has become a collaborator in preserving secrecy. Today, archaeologists continue to document, photograph, and digitally model the stone, attempting to tease out patterns and meaning from the dense surface. Yet even with modern technology, the full significance of the carvings remains tantalizingly beyond reach. Visiting the Cochno Stone, one cannot help but feel a deep sense of temporal dislocation. Here is a site where human hands left deliberate marks, patterns intended to endure, communicating across thousands of years. The carvings invite meditation on human cognition, creativity, and ritual, reminding us that even small societies in prehistoric Europe were capable of abstract thought, symbolic expression, and sustained artistic effort. Every cup, every ring, every connecting groove offers a question, a hint, a possible narrative, yet resists definitive interpretation, leaving observers to grapple with the profound unknown. The mystery of the Cochno Stone lies not merely in its carvings, but in the intentions and worldview of those who created them. Were these symbols a form of storytelling, a record of spiritual journeys, or a map of the cosmos? How did a prehistoric society develop the aesthetic sensibility and labor organization to produce such a dense and intricate design? And perhaps most hauntingly, what meanings have been lost to time, leaving only abstract patterns to confront modern eyes with questions that may never be fully answered? As the Scottish wind whispers across the field, and the hidden carvings lie silently beneath centuries of soil and moss, the Cochno Stone continues to challenge, intrigue, and inspire. It is a testament to human creativity, curiosity, and the enduring desire to leave a mark upon the world. And in its enduring silence, it reminds us that history is not simply a record of what is known, but a dialogue with the unknown, a puzzle carved in stone, waiting for the patient and the curious to ponder what might still be hidden within its labyrinthine surface. From the rolling fields of Scotland, where the Cochno Stone preserves enigmatic carvings that whisper across millennia, our journey now takes us thousands of miles east to the fertile plains of the Sichuan Basin in China. Here, in a landscape of rivers, rice paddies, and hidden valleys, lies one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, the Sayhuite masks. These monumental bronze faces, unearthed in the 1980s near the city of Guanghan, challenge conventional understanding of early Chinese civilization, offering a glimpse into a culture both familiar and profoundly alien, and leaving scholars with questions that continue to defy simple explanation. The masks themselves are immediately striking. Towering over a meter in height, some with exaggerated features that seem almost surreal, the faces are rendered in bronze with striking craftsmanship. Eyes are wide and almond-shaped, sometimes protruding unnaturally. Ears are elongated, noses are broad and imposing. Mouths may twist in expressions that defy easy interpretation. Each mask is carefully cast and polished, demonstrating not only technical mastery of bronze metallurgy, but also a sophisticated aesthetic sensibility that conveys power, spirituality, and an enigmatic sense of identity. Viewing them is an almost confrontational experience. The faces stare, unblinking, across centuries, challenging the modern observer to comprehend their purpose and meaning. Sayhuite is believed to have been part of the Shu kingdom, flourishing around 1200 to 1000 BCE, roughly contemporaneous with the late Shang dynasty. Yet the artistic style and scale of the masks are unlike anything found elsewhere in China from the same period. The discovery of pits filled with bronzes, jade artifacts, ivory, and gold suggests a complex society capable of extensive ritual activity, trade, and artistry. Yet, remarkably, the city associated with these treasures has yielded few traditional architectural remains, leaving a puzzling gap between material culture and settlement evidence. How did a civilization capable of producing such monumental art function socially and politically? And why did its urban footprint leave so little trace? The context of the masks is equally mysterious. Many were found carefully deposited in pits, deliberately broken and buried with other ritual objects. This act of intentional destruction suggests ceremonial significance, perhaps as offerings to deities, ancestors, or otherworldly forces. But the precise meaning remains opaque. What gods or spirits were being honored? What events or crises prompted such extraordinary expenditure of labor and resources? And why were these objects never simply preserved or passed down, but instead destroyed and hidden, as if their power demanded concealment? Scholars have proposed various interpretations. Some suggest the masks were ritualistic representations of spiritual beings or ancestors, possibly mediating between the human and divine. Others speculate that they symbolized political power or served as emblems of authority within the Shu kingdom. The exaggerated facial features, including large eyes and ears, may indicate a concern with perception and awareness, suggesting that the masks were designed to see and hear beyond ordinary human capacities. Yet, definitive answers elude us. The artistry is sophisticated, precise, and intentional, but the meaning behind each stylized exaggeration remains a matter of interpretation. Scientific and archaeological study has provided insights into production methods. The bronzes were cast using piece mold techniques, requiring careful planning and technical knowledge. Isotopic and metallurgical analyses suggest the use of tin and copper sources local to Sichuan, implying skilled knowledge of material properties. The scale of the work implies organized labor and perhaps an elite class overseeing production. Yet even with this technical understanding, the cultural and symbolic significance of the masks remains enigmatic. What did these faces represent to the people who created them? And how were they integrated into daily or ritual life? Speculative theories abound, reflecting the striking otherworldliness of the Sayhuite artifacts. Some observers have noted that the mask's features, elongated faces, oversized eyes, and protruding ears, are unlike anything in contemporary Chinese art, prompting questions about external influence, cultural divergence, or unique cosmological vision. Could these represent deities from a lost mythology, beings perceived in altered states of ritual consciousness, or abstract concepts rendered in material form? The answers remain uncertain, but the very strangeness of the masks emphasizes the depth of human imagination and the range of expression possible in early civilizations. Visiting Sanxingdui today, the atmosphere is both awe-inspiring and humbling. Modern museums preserve the masks behind glass, yet the sense of presence remains. One can imagine a ceremonial pit filled with offerings, flickering torchlight reflecting off bronze surfaces, and participants in elaborate ritual garb witnessing the power of these faces. The masks evoke a civilization aware of its own complexity, capable of monumental artistry, and deeply engaged with ritual and symbolic communication. The visual language of Sanxingdui is powerful and immediate, yet still defies modern interpretation. The enduring mystery of Sanxingdui lies in its combination of familiarity and strangeness. On one hand, the masks reflect universal human concerns, identity, ritual, ancestry, and power. On the other, their scale, style, and context resist easy categorization, presenting a civilization at once fully human and remarkably alien to our expectations. How did the Shu people conceive of such forms, and what knowledge, beliefs, or experiences motivated their creation? Why did this culture vanish, leaving its artifacts to be buried, hidden, and ultimately rediscovered millennia later? And what other secrets might lie in unexcavated pits, waiting to challenge our understanding of early human history once more? As the Sichuan wind sweeps across the plains, and the monumental faces of Sanxingdui seem to stare across centuries, the masks remain a testament to human creativity, spirituality, and mystery. They remind us that even within known civilizations, there are depths yet to be explored, and that the past continues to confront us with questions, not just answers. In their silence, these bronze faces compel reflection, curiosity, and wonder, inviting us to consider what other chapters of human ingenuity and imagination remain hidden beneath the earth, waiting for discovery, understanding, and contemplation. From the fertile plains of Sichuan, where the monumental Sanxingdui masks stare across millennia with silent authority, our journey now turns to the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. South of Japan, near the remote island of Yonaguni in the East China Sea, lies a mystery hidden beneath the waves, the Yonaguni Staircase. Here, along a jagged underwater coastline, a massive formation of stone terraces, steps, and platforms emerges from the sea, remarkable in scale and precision. The structure, often described as a submerged megalithic complex, challenges assumptions about human history, geological processes, and the interplay between nature and civilization. Its very existence invites questions that continue to stir debate, speculation, and awe. The first encounter with Yonaguni is almost cinematic. Submerged beneath shallow turquoise waters, the structure stretches hundreds of meters along the seabed. Divers report terraces rising in perfect right angles, platforms aligned with geometric precision, and steps measuring several meters in height and width. Massive stone blocks, seemingly quarried and shaped, form what appears to be a monumental architectural complex, while intricate grooves and carvings hint at a deliberate design. When sunlight penetrates the water, shadows accentuate the edges, revealing forms that seem both natural and meticulously constructed. The visual effect is striking, a submerged city frozen in time, its scale and craftsmanship almost unimaginable for a period when seafaring technology was rudimentary. Carbon dating and geological studies suggest that the rock itself is sandstone, shaped over tens of thousands of years. Yet the question remains: which features are the result of natural erosion and which are evidence of human hands? Mainstream geologists point to the region's tectonic activity, fracturing, and erosion as likely explanations for the stepped formations, noting the inherent angularity of sandstone. But many divers, archaeologists, and observers are struck by the precision and symmetry. Angles that approach 90 degrees, flat terraces that seem intentionally planar, and terraces arranged in ways that suggest purposeful layout rather than random fracturing. Can such regularity truly occur entirely by natural processes, or is there evidence of ancient engineering at work beneath the waves? The debate over the Yonaguni structure has persisted since its discovery in the 1980s by marine geologist Dr. Masaaki Kimura. Kimura has argued passionately for a human origin, proposing that the complex may date to 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, long before any previously known advanced civilizations in the region. He points to features resembling steps, roads, and terraces, and even suggests possible ceremonial or religious significance. Such a timeline, if accurate, would challenge conventional narratives about the development of urbanization and architectural sophistication in human history. How could a society capable of creating such a monumental complex exist at a time commonly regarded as prehistoric? The features themselves fuel intrigue. Some terraces appear to have been intentionally aligned, leading to platforms that suggest spaces for assembly or ritual activity. Certain stone faces bear grooves, ridges, and patterns reminiscent of carving, while a series of massive monolithic blocks appear to have been cut and arranged with care. Divers have reported shapes suggestive of pyramidal structures and even figures resembling faces or effigies. While skeptics caution that the human mind tends to perceive patterns in ambiguous natural forms, a phenomenon known as pareidolia, the degree of order and scale in Yonaguni continues to fascinate and provoke debate. Are we seeing the remnants of a lost civilization, or merely the accidental artistry of nature itself? Speculative theories abound, ranging from the possibility of an ancient culture thriving during the last ice age to the idea of a forgotten civilization whose knowledge was submerged as sea levels rose at the end of the Pleistocene. Some enthusiasts have proposed connections to the mythical continent of Mu or lost Pacific civilizations, while others suggest that Yonaguni may have functioned as a ceremonial or astronomical site. Yet, all of these remain conjectural, grounded more in interpretation than in definitive evidence. What is undeniable is the sense of scale, sophistication, and mystery that the formation conveys to those who explore it firsthand. The Yonaguni staircase also prompts reflection on the passage of time and the impermanence of human achievement. If the complex is indeed man-made, rising sea levels and seismic activity would have hidden it beneath the waves, erasing a chapter of human history from the surface entirely. It raises questions about other potential civilizations lost to the oceans, about what knowledge and technology might have existed long before recorded history. Could the submerged terraces of Yonaguni be one of many forgotten sites, a reminder that our understanding of prehistoric human capability is still incomplete? Visiting the site today is an experience defined by both wonder and trepidation. Divers navigate currents and limited visibility, tracing terraces, steps, and platforms with careful hands and eyes. The scale is difficult to convey. Some steps rise over 2 meters, terraces span tens of meters, and the overall expanse of the formation covers hundreds of meters along the seabed. The combination of human imagination and natural processes, whether collaborative or coincidental, creates an eerie, almost surreal landscape. As divers move across the terraces, the sense of ancient presence is palpable, as though a civilization long vanished is watching silently from beneath the waves. The mystery deepens when considering context. Yonaguni lies near the Ryukyu Islands, a region of seismic activity and shifting coastlines. Rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age may have submerged coastal settlements, erasing evidence of human habitation. If the terraces were indeed man-made, they would represent some of the earliest monumental architecture in human history, predating even the earliest known civilizations in Mesopotamia and Egypt. How would such a society have survived and thrived in an era we often consider technologically primitive? What rituals, beliefs, or social structures would have motivated such enormous labor and coordination? Yet, even in ambiguity, Yonaguni teaches us something profound. Whether the terraces are natural or man-made, they remind us of the intricate interplay between human perception, environment, and imagination. The formation challenges assumptions, provoking curiosity and critical inquiry, and demonstrating that our planet still holds enigmas capable of altering our understanding of human history. It exemplifies the delicate line between certainty and mystery, a submerged testament to the passage of time, the power of nature, and perhaps the ingenuity of ancient humans. As the sun filters through the waves, illuminating the terraces in a dance of light and shadow, the Yonaguni staircase stands as a silent, enigmatic witness to history. It compels us to wonder, was this structure the product of human ambition, a ceremonial or civic space submerged by rising seas, or merely the extraordinary artistry of geological forces? How many secrets remain hidden beneath the ocean, and what might we learn if the veil of water were lifted? The mystery endures, an invitation to explore, to question, and to imagine worlds lost to time, waiting patiently beneath the waves for those who seek them. Yonaguni remains a place where human curiosity meets the vast, untamed forces of nature, a submerged enigma that challenges our understanding of civilization, architecture, and the limits of prehistoric ingenuity. It asks not for answers, but for careful observation, reflection, and an openness to the unknown. And in that challenge lies its enduring power, a monument to the past, still whispering its secrets across millennia, inviting the observer to consider what might still be hidden, waiting to be discovered beneath the ocean's surface. From the sunken terraces of Yonaguni, where massive stone steps challenge our understanding of prehistoric human capability, our journey now returns to the arid sands of Egypt, to a site that has long captivated archaeologists and enthusiasts alike, the Saqqara necropolis. Amid the tombs, pyramids, and funerary complexes of this ancient landscape lies a small, unassuming artifact that belies its profound intrigue. A wooden object carved in the shape of a bird, measuring just under 6 inches in length, yet provoking questions about the intersection of ancient technology, ritual, and imagination. This is the Saqqara Bird, a seemingly simple artifact whose implications ripple far beyond its modest size. The bird itself is exquisitely carved from sycamore wood, its wings and tail carefully proportioned, its surface smooth and finely detailed. On first glance, it appears to be a child's toy or a ceremonial effigy, a decorative object intended perhaps to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. Yet its shape is striking. The wings are narrow and aerodynamic, tapering elegantly, while the tail and fuselage display a symmetry that evokes modern understanding of flight. Its discovery in a tomb in Saqqara, dated to approximately 200 BCE, has sparked fascination not because of its artistry alone, but because of the questions it raises about ancient knowledge, experimentation, and possibly even aerodynamics. The Saqqara bird was found in the tomb of Padi Imen, amidst the familiar trappings of Egyptian funerary culture, pottery, amulets, and ritual objects intended to ensure safe passage into the afterlife. For decades, mainstream Egyptologists regarded it as a mere toy or symbolic bird, perhaps intended to represent the Ba, the spiritual manifestation of a person in Egyptian belief. After all, birds were common motifs in Egyptian art, symbolizing freedom, transcendence, and the soul's journey. Its small size and context within the tomb supported the assumption that it was primarily ritualistic rather than functional. Yet closer examination of the object revealed something extraordinary. The proportions and form of the Saqqara bird bear a striking resemblance to modern gliders or model aircraft. Experiments conducted by engineers and aviation enthusiasts suggest that, if mounted with the correct balance and launched from a height, the bird could glide through the air. Its wings and tail exhibit features that mirror aerodynamic principles understood only millennia later. Was this intentional experimentation, an abstract curiosity, or merely coincidence? And if it was designed with flight in mind, what knowledge or observation led an Egyptian artisan to create such a precise form? Mainstream interpretations emphasize the symbolic and ritualistic significance of birds in Egyptian culture. Birds often represented the soul's journey, the connection between heaven and earth, and the transcendence of mortality. The Saqqara bird may have been a ritual object designed to carry these symbolic meanings, perhaps used in ceremonies, or as a teaching tool to illustrate principles of motion and balance in nature. Its precise form could also reflect careful observation of birds in flight, an exercise in understanding the natural world, rather than an attempt at functional aviation. Speculative theories, however, extend the intrigue. Some researchers propose that the artifact is evidence of early experimentation with flight, suggesting that ancient Egyptians may have possessed knowledge of gliding principles, albeit without powered flight. Others speculate that it represents an advanced understanding of aerodynamics embedded in ritual objects, an example of practical experimentation disguised within symbolic artistry. Fringe theories even suggest it may be linked to forgotten technologies or lost knowledge of flight, though these claims remain contentious and speculative. Still, the very possibility that an ancient civilization might have explored the principles of flight, even as a conceptual or ritual practice, is remarkable. The context of the Saqqara necropolis itself amplifies the mystery. Burial sites were repositories of knowledge, art, and ritual practice, carefully curated to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. Artisans often embedded symbolic and practical knowledge within funerary objects, creating artifacts that could serve multiple purposes: ceremonial, educational, and artistic. Could the Saqqara bird represent a convergence of observation, imagination, and ritual intent? Did the artisans understand principles of balance, weight distribution, and aerodynamics intuitively through careful study of nature? And if so, why has this knowledge left no other clear traces in surviving Egyptian technology? The physical characteristics of the bird continue to fascinate scholars. Its wings are tapered in a way that reduces drag, and its body is proportioned to maintain stability in flight. Experiments with scale replicas show that the center of gravity is remarkably well placed, allowing a balanced glide. These features, whether coincidental or intentional, demonstrate a sophistication that seems extraordinary for its time. Could such an object have served as more than a symbolic artifact? Might it have been a demonstration of observation, a teaching tool, or even a practical experiment in aerodynamics, embedded within the rich tapestry of Egyptian ritual culture? Visiting Saqqara today, among the tombs and pyramids, one is struck by the juxtaposition of scale. Massive stone monuments, erected with labor and precision, tower over the desert. Yet it is this small wooden bird that continues to provoke some of the most profound questions. In its diminutive form, the Saqqara bird bridges imagination and reality, ritual and experimentation, nature and human curiosity. It embodies a tension that recurs throughout the history of human innovation. The interplay between observation, symbolic expression, and technological potential. The enduring enigma of the Saqqara Bird lies not in its craftsmanship alone, but in the questions it provokes. Was it simply a symbolic object, a toy, or a ritual effigy? Or does it reflect practical experimentation, a deliberate exploration of principles that would not be formally understood for millennia? How much knowledge of motion, balance, and flight might have existed in ancient societies, hidden within symbolic or ritual objects? And, most hauntingly, what other artifacts, ideas, or experiments have been lost to time, leaving tantalizing hints without clear explanation? As the desert sun sweeps across the sands of Saqqara, illuminating tombs, pyramids, and scattered relics, the Saqqara Bird rests quietly among its peers, a silent testament to human curiosity and ingenuity. It asks us to consider the depth of ancient observation, the ways humans experiment and learn, and the mysteries that survive in small, unassuming objects. Its presence encourages reflection on the interplay of ritual, knowledge, and imagination, reminding us that history is not merely a record of what has been achieved, but a dialogue with the unknown, the subtle, and the unexplored. The Saqqara Bird endures as a monument to both mystery and possibility, inviting observers across millennia to wonder, to question, and to imagine. It is a delicate, enigmatic bridge between ancient artistry and modern inquiry, between the symbolic and the practical, challenging us to consider not only what ancient humans achieved, but what they may have glimpsed, experimented with, and left behind in the hidden corners of history. And as we contemplate its form, function, and context, we are left with the haunting question that defines so many of the world's most compelling mysteries. What other knowledge, insights, or innovations might still lie waiting to be discovered, concealed in the artifacts and landscapes of our distant past? From the arid sands of Saqqara, where a small wooden bird raises profound questions about the intersection of ritual, observation, and technology, our journey now takes us across oceans to the turquoise waters off the coast of Cuba. Here, in the shallow seabed near the town of Casilda, divers have discovered formations that appear astonishingly deliberate. Straight walls, stepped terraces, pyramidal structures, and stone blocks arranged with apparent precision. Dubbed the underwater ruins of Cuba, these submerged structures challenge conventional narratives of human history and provoke a tension between what science can explain and what remains mysteriously beyond reach. The first glimpse beneath the waves is both surreal and haunting. Crystal clear water allows divers to survey a sprawling complex of geometric forms that stretch across the sandy seabed. Massive stone blocks, some weighing several tons, form linear arrangements and right angles with what appear to be terraces and platforms rising from the sea floor. In certain areas, the blocks align in ways that suggest doorways, staircases, or enclosures. From a distance, the site resembles a city frozen in time, submerged as though to protect it from human eyes and the ravages of centuries. The experience is almost cinematic. Sunlight filtering through the water casts moving shadows across the stone, emphasizing angles and planes that seem improbably regular, stirring both awe and puzzlement. Geologists studying the site note that the region's seabed consists largely of limestone, which naturally forms fractures, ridges, and slabs under pressure, wave action, and erosion. These natural processes can create surprisingly regular shapes, leading some researchers to attribute much of the formation to geology rather than human design. Yet the scale, linearity, and apparent arrangement of certain features have led others to question whether natural forces alone can account for the complexity observed. Could ancient humans have constructed these structures, or are we witnessing an extraordinary example of the human brain imposing patterns on natural formations? Mainstream explanations lean toward the latter. The idea that advanced civilizations existed in the Caribbean long before known settlements is generally dismissed by conventional archaeology. However, the sheer regularity of some features, particularly large flat terraces and blocks that seem stacked with intention, fuels continued debate. Divers and marine archaeologists report encountering what appear to be walls that extend for hundreds of meters, with corners forming near-perfect angles, an arrangement that would be highly unusual in naturally fractured limestone. Even if natural processes shaped much of the landscape, the possibility of human intervention, cutting, moving, and arranging stone, cannot be entirely discounted. The context of sea level changes adds another layer of intrigue. During the last ice age, approximately 12,000 years ago, sea levels were significantly lower, exposing land now submerged beneath the Caribbean. If the underwater formations were indeed human-made, they may have originated during a period when this area was dry land, later inundated by rising seas. This possibility introduces a dramatic implication: a civilization potentially older and more technologically capable than current historical models allow. How would such a society have lived, worked, and constructed monumental architecture in a time conventionally regarded as pre-agricultural or pre-urban? And why has so little corroborating evidence, pottery, tools, inscriptions, been found above water to confirm its existence? Speculative theories inevitably emerge. Some enthusiasts propose that the ruins are evidence of a lost civilization, perhaps connected to the mythical Atlantis described by Plato. Others suggest the structures may have served ceremonial, religious, or astronomical purposes, or functioned as coastal fortifications. More controversial ideas posit that these formations indicate knowledge of construction and urban planning far ahead of their time. While such theories are largely conjectural, they reflect a fundamental fascination with the site, its ability to challenge assumptions about human history, and the tantalizing suggestion that there is more to the ancient world than current records reveal. The size and orientation of certain blocks also spark curiosity. Some stones appear carefully shaped, with smooth surfaces and edges that imply intentional manipulation rather than purely natural formation. Terraces rise at consistent heights, and platforms are relatively level, as though someone had planned their placement. Could these features indicate practical construction, a ceremonial or ritual layout, or even proto-architectural experimentation? If so, what tools, techniques, and social organization would have been required to accomplish such feats at a time before widely recognized urban development in the region? Divers who explore the site describe a sense of profound presence. Moving through corridors of stone, tracing walls and terraces, and ascending gentle steps, one experiences the scale and complexity of the formations firsthand. The human mind struggles to reconcile the possibility of natural formation with the apparent intentionality of the layout. It is precisely this tension that makes the underwater ruins of Cuba so compelling. They exist at the edge of knowledge, where certainty fades and curiosity deepens. Every line, every angle, every terrace raises the question: what is natural, and what is the product of human ingenuity? The site also prompts reflection on the fragility of human achievement. If the structures were indeed human-made, they are now submerged, hidden by the ocean and the passage of time. Rising seas, tectonic activity, and natural erosion have erased much of the context that would allow definitive interpretation. What stories, technologies, or cultural practices might have accompanied these structures, now lost beneath the waves? How many civilizations, once thriving, may have been obscured or erased entirely by environmental change, leaving only tantalizing remnants for us to discover? Scientific study continues, but evidence remains limited and contested. Sonar imaging, photogrammetry, and underwater excavation provide detailed records of the formations, yet the absence of clear artifacts above water prevents conclusive interpretation. Some argue that further investigation may uncover tools, inscriptions, or other cultural markers, while others caution that the formations may always resist easy explanation. In this uncertainty lies the site's enduring allure. It is a puzzle that invites observation, reflection, and careful inquiry, but offers no guarantees of resolution. The underwater ruins of Cuba, whether primarily natural, human-made, or a combination of both, remind us of the depth and complexity of our planet's history. They challenge assumptions about human innovation, endurance, and the impermanence of civilizations. They teach humility, that the Earth's oceans conceal secrets older and stranger than we often imagine, and that our understanding of the past is necessarily incomplete. The site compels us to look beyond conventional narratives, to imagine the ingenuity of ancient peoples, and to remain open to the possibility that history still holds profound surprises. As the Caribbean sun filters through the waves, illuminating terraces and walls in a shifting interplay of light and shadow, the underwater ruins of Cuba stand as a silent witness to a distant past. They provoke wonder, invite speculation, and challenge us to reconcile the forces of nature with the possibility of ancient human achievement. Were these structures the remnants of a lost city, carefully planned and later submerged? Or are they the extraordinary artistry of natural processes sculpted over millennia? And perhaps, most hauntingly, how many other stories lie beneath the ocean's surface, hidden from view, waiting to be discovered, studied, and understood? The mystery endures, and in that endurance lies its power. The ruins prompt not only curiosity and investigation, but reflection on the impermanence of civilizations, the resilience of human imagination, and the enduring dialogue between the known and the unknown. They remind us that even in our modern era of technology and exploration, the past retains secrets capable of shocking, inspiring, and humbling all who seek to uncover them. From the submerged terraces of Cuba, where sunken formations evoke the memory of civilizations hidden beneath the waves, our exploration now moves to the rugged landscapes of South Africa. Beneath the arid soil and exposed strata of the Klerksdorp region, small metallic spheres lie scattered within layers of pyrophyllite, a mineral formation overlying ancient geological deposits. These are the Klerksdorp Spheres, mysterious objects that have perplexed scientists, collectors, and enthusiasts alike. At first glance, they appear almost ordinary, roughly spherical, and only a few centimeters in diameter. Yet their presence within Precambrian rock dating back billions of years challenges our understanding of natural history and the timeline of human or intelligent intervention. The spheres are deceptively simple in appearance. Many are smooth and polished, some perfectly round, while others exhibit grooves or ridges along their surfaces, forming patterns that suggest intricate design. Their uniformity and geometric features have long drawn attention. Concentric rings, parallel grooves, and symmetrical ridges create an almost mechanical precision that seems strikingly intentional. For an artifact embedded in rock that predates known human civilization by hundreds of millions of years, the implications are immediately provocative. How could objects with such seemingly engineered characteristics appear in such an ancient geological context? The discovery of the spheres is rooted in industrial activity. Miners extracting pyrophyllite, a soft mineral used for ceramics and insulation, first noticed the objects in the mid-20th century. At first, they were regarded as curiosities, perhaps natural concretions formed over eons by mineral deposition. Over time, researchers and collectors began to examine them closely, noting that some exhibited metallic cores, a mix of iron and nickel, surrounded by layers of sedimentary minerals. Their density, uniformity, and smoothness suggested a level of structural cohesion that is not commonly seen in ordinary mineral formations. The spheres appeared to bridge the gap between natural processes and the possibility of intentional creation. sparking debate that continues to this day. Mainstream scientific explanations emphasize natural origins. Geologists argue that the spheres are concretions, mineral masses formed by the precipitation of mineral matter around a nucleus over millions of years. Variations in mineral composition, pressure, and sedimentary layering could account for the grooves and rings, creating the illusion of intentionality. Indeed, natural concretions can achieve remarkable symmetry, and chemical and mechanical forces can produce patterns that mimic design. From this perspective, the Klerksdorp Spheres are extraordinary but ultimately natural products of geological processes, impressive yet explicable within known science. Yet for many observers, natural processes alone fail to explain the sphere's most striking characteristics. Some spheres are almost perfectly round, with symmetrical grooves that appear uniformly spaced. Others exhibit combinations of metallic cores and surrounding sedimentary layers that suggest deliberate assembly. Could these features truly be the result of coincidence? Or is it possible that we are glimpsing evidence of something more remarkable? Are these spheres remnants of ancient technology, geological anomalies, or something entirely unrecognized by conventional frameworks? Speculative theories abound. Some researchers have proposed that the spheres are tools, projectiles, or bearings from an unknown prehistoric civilization. Others suggest that they may be evidence of extraterrestrial influence, perhaps objects deliberately placed or left on Earth long before humans existed. Fringe hypotheses even propose that the spheres are time capsules, designed to endure eons of geological activity. While these ideas remain highly controversial, the debate itself underscores the profound impact the spheres have on human imagination. They challenge assumptions about geological time, human capability, and the interplay between natural and artificial processes. The spheres also raise questions about scale, context, and preservation. Embedded deep within pyrophyllite deposits, many have survived extreme heat, pressure, and chemical transformation over billions of years. Some are almost perfectly preserved, while others show signs of wear or erosion, providing clues to the environmental conditions in which they formed. Their placement within layers of rock that predate known life forms forces us to confront the relationship between time, material persistence, and interpretation. How can we reconcile their apparent order with the vast span of geological history? And if human or intelligent intervention is impossible, what natural processes could produce such precision and regularity? Visiting Klerksdorp today, the spheres appear deceptively ordinary. One can hold them in the hand, noting their weight, texture, and symmetry, yet their significance is not immediately visible. Their mystery lies not in grand scale or monumental presence, but in subtle perfection and context. Each sphere becomes a tangible bridge to deep time, a connection between our curiosity and the slow, inscrutable forces of the Earth. They compel observers to consider both the potential for natural wonder and the boundaries of human understanding. The Klerksdorp Spheres, much like other enigmatic archaeological and geological discoveries, remind us of the fragility of certainty. They invite contemplation of the unknown, the possibility of ancient intelligence lost to time, the remarkable outcomes of natural processes, or intersections of both that defy conventional classification. In their silence, they pose questions that are both scientific and philosophical. What can we truly know about Earth's distant past? How do we distinguish between natural and artificial, coincidence and design, the expected and the extraordinary? And perhaps most provocatively, what other phenomena lie buried, waiting to challenge our assumptions about history, nature, and the ingenuity of life itself? The sphere's enduring mystery also emphasizes the limitations of human perception. We tend to interpret symmetry, pattern, and precision as evidence of design, yet the Earth's geological processes are capable of producing remarkable regularity. Yet the Klerksdorp Spheres straddle this boundary, occupying a space where natural explanation and speculation collide, creating tension, intrigue, and wonder. They serve as reminders that the Earth is not merely a passive stage for human activity, but a dynamic environment capable of producing phenomena that challenge our understanding, provoke curiosity, and inspire the search for deeper knowledge. As the sun rises over the South African plains, casting long shadows across the mining fields where these spheres were first found, one is struck by their quiet persistence. They have endured eons of pressure, temperature fluctuation, and chemical transformation, remaining intact, waiting to be discovered, examined, and debated. Their simplicity belies their significance, small, unassuming objects that spark some of the most profound questions about time, formation, and the limits of human and natural achievement. The Klerksdorp Spheres endure as a testament to the enigmatic interplay between nature and possibility, a reminder that history is not only recorded in monumental architecture or written text, but also in subtle, enduring traces that challenge, confound, and inspire. Were they formed entirely by natural forces, or is there a trace of unknown intelligence hidden within their composition? How many more enigmas lie hidden within the Earth's layers, waiting to surprise, provoke, and expand our understanding of the past? In contemplating the spheres, we are invited to embrace uncertainty, to explore the boundaries between natural processes and potential design, and to acknowledge the vast temporal scales over which the Earth has operated. They compel us to imagine, question, and investigate, leaving us with the profound realization that even the smallest objects can hold mysteries as vast and enduring as time itself. The Klerksdorp Spheres are quiet, enduring witnesses to deep history, and their secrets remain suspended between explanation and wonder, waiting for those who dare to look closely and think deeply. From the small metallic spheres buried deep within the ancient strata of South Africa, whose origins provoke questions about nature, design, and time itself, our journey now descends beneath the earth to the rugged landscapes of central Turkey. In the Cappadocia region, beneath volcanic hills and surreal rock formations shaped by millennia of erosion, lies one of the most astonishing subterranean complexes ever discovered, the Derinkuyu underground city. A labyrinth of tunnels, chambers, and passageways stretches downward, at least 60 meters into the earth, forming a hidden city that once sheltered thousands of people. Here, beneath layers of stone, humanity confronted the extremes of survival, ingenuity, and perhaps even mystery. The first encounter with Derinkuyu is both disorienting and awe-inspiring. Narrow corridors wind between chambers carved from soft volcanic tuff, their walls lined with niches, alcoves, and openings, whose purpose gradually becomes apparent: storage, sleeping quarters, wine presses, communal spaces, and places of worship. The air is cool and dry, carrying the faint scent of stone dust, and a quiet reverence settles over those who descend into the city. Large circular stone doors, each weighing several tons, are mounted on pivot points, capable of sealing off entire sections of the underground network from intruders or invaders. The scale and sophistication of this subterranean city are immediately apparent. This is no mere shelter, but a meticulously engineered complex capable of supporting life underground for extended periods. Archaeologists estimate that Derinkuyu could have accommodated up to 20,000 people, complete with livestock, food storage, ventilation shafts, wells, and escape routes. Its construction likely began in the Byzantine period, though some evidence suggests portions may date to earlier eras. The layout is complex, with multiple levels descending like concentric rings of habitation, each designed with defense, secrecy, and sustainability in mind. Narrow staircases, ventilation shafts, and interconnecting tunnels demonstrate an understanding of airflow and human movement, as well as strategic planning in case of siege. The architecture is functional, yet surprisingly sophisticated, reflecting a remarkable knowledge of engineering for a civilization often described as pre-modern. Yet the mystery of Derinkuyu extends beyond its scale and ingenuity. How could ancient people carve and maintain such an extensive underground network without modern tools? The soft volcanic rock, while easier to excavate than granite, still requires careful removal, shaping, and reinforcement to prevent collapse. Evidence of chiseling and tool marks shows painstaking effort, yet no definitive records exist to explain who directed its construction, how the labor was organized, or how long the work took. Was this city the product of a single civilization? Or did successive cultures expand and refine the tunnels over centuries? And what drove them to create such a monumental subterranean refuge in the first place? Mainstream explanations emphasize defense and survival. Cappadocia has historically been a crossroads of empires, invasions, and religious persecution. Underground cities like Derinkuyu may have served as refuges from marauding armies, offering safety for villagers during periods of conflict. The multiple levels, hidden entrances, and massive stone doors suggest a design optimized for concealment and protection. Entire communities could retreat underground for days, weeks, or even months, surviving on stored provisions while remaining invisible to invaders above. Yet even within this practical framework, questions abound. The sophistication of ventilation systems, some shafts extending more than 50 meters, indicates careful planning and understanding of airflow. Water sources were ingeniously integrated, allowing wells to supply the inhabitants without compromising the security of the city. Hidden passages and escape routes suggest forethought for contingencies that extend beyond immediate threats. Could such design represent more than survival instinct? Perhaps a cultural or spiritual imperative, a desire to build not just a shelter, but a hidden sanctuary capable of sustaining a society for generations underground. Speculative interpretations add layers of intrigue. Some researchers suggest that the city may have had ritual or religious significance, serving as a subterranean temple or monastic retreat. Others propose that the site preserves knowledge of pre-Christian or pre-Islamic civilizations, hidden from later conquerors or invaders. Fringe theories even hint at lost advanced technologies or unknown ancient engineering practices, citing the precision of stone carving, complex ventilation, and multi-level architecture as evidence of skills far ahead of their time. While these ideas are controversial, they reflect the profound impact Derinkuyu has on the imagination, a place where survival, ingenuity, and mystery converge. Exploration of the site reveals a striking interplay between human ingenuity and natural geology. The soft, tough rock facilitated excavation, yet the structural integrity of the tunnels and chambers required careful planning. Some passages narrow to barely a meter, while others open into spacious rooms capable of hosting hundreds of people. The city includes chapels, wineries, stables, kitchens, and communal halls, creating a self-contained environment that mirrors above-ground village life. Its scale and complexity invite comparison to modern subterranean construction, challenging assumptions about what pre-modern societies could achieve. Visiting Derinkuyu today, one experiences a unique sense of connection across millennia. Walking the narrow corridors, descending into deep chambers, and standing within rooms that once housed entire families, one is acutely aware of the human presence embedded in stone. The city is both a testament to necessity and a monument to foresight, an engineered environment that anticipates not only immediate survival, but also the long-term needs of its inhabitants. How much knowledge of engineering, social organization, and logistics was required to accomplish such a feat? And how much of that knowledge has been lost, leaving only these subterranean echoes of a civilization we can only partially reconstruct? The city's enduring mystery lies in the unanswered questions. Who initiated the construction of Derinkuyu? How were successive levels and expansions coordinated? Were these tunnels primarily defensive, or did they serve broader cultural, spiritual, or societal purposes? And how many other underground networks remain undiscovered, hidden beneath Cappadocia or elsewhere, preserving secrets of human innovation and adaptation? Derinkuyu reminds us that human history is not always written on the surface. Some of our most extraordinary achievements may be buried, concealed, or lost to the passage of time, waiting to be rediscovered. In its quiet, shadowed corridors, the city preserves not only the ingenuity and resilience of its builders, but also a sense of mystery that transcends practical explanation. Each carved doorway, stairwell, and chamber is a whisper from the past, inviting reflection on the endurance, creativity, and foresight of the people who lived, worked, and perhaps even thrived beneath the earth. Descending into Derinkuyu, one is struck by the tension between the known and the unknown. We understand the general purpose of the city, its defensive and survival functions, yet the full story remains elusive. How many generations labored here? What stories unfolded in these hidden chambers? And what knowledge, lost or preserved, was encoded in the very stones of the tunnels? In the interplay between survival, ingenuity, and mystery, Derinkuyu stands as one of humanity's most remarkable subterranean legacies. A city built in darkness, yet illuminated by the questions it continues to inspire. As the cool underground air fills the lungs and sunlight fades behind the stone ceiling, Derinkuyu leaves its most profound impression, a reminder that history is layered, complex, and often hidden from view. Beneath the earth, human ingenuity has shaped a world that challenges our understanding, prompting wonder, reflection, and the enduring pursuit of knowledge. And in that pursuit lies the heart of the mystery. How much of our past remains concealed, waiting silently to astonish, challenge, and inspire those who dare to explore it?